What's up, everybody? Good morning and happy Wednesday, December 17th. DK Show coming to you from the TDS Sports Talk Studios this morning. A big thanks for tuning in wherever, however you may be tuning in from. If you're checking us out on the radio dials, you got a couple of those, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, also available to stream up online on our website, sportstalk1051.com. You got the app, and of course, you've got your Alexa device. Download that, take it on the go. YouTube video stream is also up and rolling here this morning. But a very happy Wednesday. It is a wild card Wednesday, everybody. Wild card Wednesday. So you know what that means, right? Right? You know what that means? It means we get to put you in charge. We get to put you in charge of the program a little bit there. If you got a topic, if you're not sure, like what's wild card? What did I miss out on wild card stuff? So what Wild Card Wednesday is? You got a topic, we pick you the producer for the day. You got a topic, suggestion, like, I read this or I heard this or I've been thinking about this, and I think it's a good thing to throw out for the rest of our armchair MVPs. So if you have a good idea, if you got a good topic in mind, hit me up on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line with a quick text, 715-830-1912, or you can hit us up on the YouTube video stream, and I'll throw it out there. So Wednesdays are our Wild Card Wednesdays where you can be the producer. So send them on over. I'm an open book, all right? Let's see what you got out there. It is also a Am I Wrong? Make your bold sports opinion, your bold sports take. Am I wrong for saying this? Am I wrong for thinking this? Brought to you by ASAP Used Auto Parts. So send those on over too, and maybe we'll get into a nice little banter discussion back and forth. What else do we have on the game plan for us this morning? Matt LaFleur chatted a little bit with the media yesterday. Packers did not practice, but they still had to release an injury report because of the game coming up on Saturday. So yesterday was kind of like a Wednesday, if you will. And yeah, to no surprise, the injury report is fairly long. You've got Josh Jacobs, who was a DNP. You've got Zach Tom, who would have been a DNP. Lucas Van Ness would have been did not participate. Christian Watson, Dontavian Wicks, Evan Williams. And then Marshawn Lloyd. So this was a few days ago, but a DNP here. Another hamstring injury for Marshawn Lloyd. I don't know what's going on with Marshawn Lloyd. I don't know if it's just insanely bad luck for the guy, but we're not going to see him again this year. I mean, the deadline to activate him and put him on the roster is just like it's this week, so there's no way you could put him on the 53-man roster right now, and it stinks because I think we could use some fresh legs and some playmaking skills that when he's healthy he can provide, but dude can't stay healthy, and I think the Marshawn Lloyd experience for this year is already done. And next year, I think you seriously have to have some serious conversations if you're Goody and this coaching staff. The talent is there, but what do we got to do? How many more chances do we give this thing? For whatever reason, that hamstring is just not working out. Maybe send them down to Madison like they did with Watson or such, but nonetheless, that's a disappointment. We're probably not gonna see him and such. But some other updates from Matt LaFleur yesterday concerning some of the other injured players and such too. So, but again, Christian Watson, kind of they're going to give him the week, as we said a little bit, or we kind of talked about that yesterday. They're going to give him the week. A lot of it's going to be dependent on pain management, range of motion, and such. And essentially, for a lot of these guys, they're going to give them the whole week here. So who's, going back to Watson, the exact quote. I was trying to bring it up here. LaFleur said, status won't be determined until the end of the week leading up to the Bears game on Saturday. Josh Jacobs took another big hit during the game in Denver, and that's why he would have been a DNP on here with that knee. So something to monitor again with Josh Jacobs and that knee injury. So, but there's a lot on the line here. There's a lot on the line for this game tonight. You get a win, you put yourself in a position to clinch a playoff spot. You're really in a driver's seat to host that playoff game, to win the division. So it's crunch time, man. It's crunch time here. So where's your vibe right now? So now that we're making a turn here, we are just a couple days away from this game. I mean, it's Saturday night here. So where's your vibe at, Packers fans, heading into this game with this laundry list of players on this injured list? I mean, how you feeling right now? Give me a little bit of a vibe check. Okay? And I posted this up last night for our Post Glass and Mirror 715 Speaks poll question on the Sports Talk Facebook page. But with no more Micah Parsons, who do you think needs to be that defensive game changer now? Who's got to step up and be that defensive game changer? I think it's between four. Now, I hope a lot of guys step up. And I think everybody's going to have to kind of up their game a little bit more. But I narrowed it down to four because I believe these are going to be the four popular ones. Now, Lucas Van Ness is not in this, but do we want to see, a big leap from Lucas Van Ness? Absolutely. But I feel like these are the four that are going to be the most popular picks because, they've been out there the most, and you kind of look at them. It's Rashawn Gary, it's Quay Walker, it's Xavier McKinney, it's Edgerrin Cooper. Right now, 57% of the voters said Rashawn Gary. Next up was Edgerrin Cooper at 20%. 14% for Quay Walker, 9% for Xavier McKinney. So not necessarily in terms of maybe from a leadership standpoint, but we know Micah Parsons was a game wrecker, a game changer on the defensive side. He's gone now. Who's got to be that player? Who's got to be that next defensive player that has to rise and be that game changer going forward? Because they need somebody. They need somebody to be that game changer. And, going back to the vibe thing, how much confidence do you have in Jeff Hafley being creative and helping, from a schematic standpoint, from a coaching standpoint, to help fill the void left by Micah Parsons? Are you more concerned with the injuries from the offensive side? Maybe this is another question here, too. I'll throw this out there to get your responses. Are you more concerned from the offensive side going forward or the defensive side going forward, factoring in these injuries? Micah, we know, is gone. Watson, banged up. We don't know the status. Josh Jacobs, banged up. We don't know status. Zach Tom, banged up. We don't know the status. So we know Micah's not playing. It's up in the air on some pivotal and crucial offensive players. Which group would you trust the most going forward? And does that alter your game plan or how you approach each game if you were on the coaching staff and the head coach going forward? So which one do you trust the most? Which one do you have the most confidence in, the most, your faith in? And you can factor in what we've seen so far throughout all these weeks because I think you have to. So kind of an informal poll there. Let me know what you're thinking. We've got more Bucks trade rumors. So the NBA Cup last night, Knicks win it, but we got more Bucks trade rumors surrounding out there, and it's not rumors surrounding the Bucks trading Giannis. It's more rumors surrounding potentially the Bucks adding some more players, maybe some quote-unquote star players. This was from Jake Fisher Jake Fisher covers the NBA. The Stein line, if you know your NBA reporting and such, you got the Stein line over there. That's, one of the more popular Substacks and NBA stuff out there. But what Jake Fisher posted up the other day, saying that the Bucks are doing everything in their power to convince Giannis to stay and have expressed interest in Zach LaVine, who we talked about yesterday, Jeremy Grant, as well as players like Andrew Wiggins, Marcus Smart, and Dejounte Murray. And this was another quote, one rival general manager I spoke to went so far as to say that the Bucks have convinced him that, quote, they're going big game hunting. The Bucks are going big game hunting. All right. So when you hear that, if you're a Bucks fan and you hear that, does it get you excited? Does it get you pumped? Does it change your outlook going forward from the last couple weeks that we've talked about with all this Giannis stuff going on? Do you have the faith that John Horst, general manager for the Bucks, and this Milwaukee Bucks team can be successful going out there big game hunting? I mean, if we, again, take it for what it's worth, this is coming from a rival general manager. Bucks going big game hunting. It's hard not to be like, all right, let's go, baby. Let's go. Let's see what you can do. Is this the most pivotal time in Milwaukee Bucks history in terms of, maybe convincing Giannis to stay? Is this a potential turning point in franchise history for the Milwaukee Bucks? So we'll hit that up. We'll go through some of the latest MLB rumors out there with the hot stove season going on. It's fairly quiet when it comes to the Brewers with some of the talks out there, but there is some other talk surrounding their teams within their division that would affect the Milwaukee Brewers. So we'll go through some of the latest rumors and rumblings around the MLB world. So got that on the docket too. So that's your game plan for us this morning. And again, whatever else, it's a Wild Card Wednesday where you yourself are the producer. So if you got a topic in mind, I'm curious. All right, hit me up. Send it on over. You think this is a topic we want to get the input from the rest of the armchair MVPs out there? Text it on over. Send it on over on the YouTube chat. All right. Don't be shy. Send it on over. Let's get things started here this morning. We'll take our first break, and then we'll get this Wednesday morning going with the leadoff coming up after these quick words. Best holiday ever continues. Just head to our website, surroundthe715.com, for your chance to win some tickets to some concerts, awesome events, gift cards, tickets including to the Harlem Globetrotters that's coming up on January 2nd at the Sonnentag Center. Also got some Christmas music you listen to. You got some events still before Christmas is here, including the Christmas market that is happening this Saturday at the Brewing Project. So, again, big thanks to Window World, Green Oasis Gardens, the District, REM Community Services, partnered with Savita Health, HG Megs, Northwestern Bank, EC Moving and Storage, SC Swiderski, TF Exteriors, Nicolay Bank in Eau Claire, and Lake Hallie. Also, if you go to our websites at sportstalk1051.com, the kiddos might be really interested in this. You can track Santa with the Santa tracker. So that countdown is up before the big man hits or goes into the sleigh. You can actually chat with him or Mrs. Claus. Kiddos can do some coloring on there too. Get all the details. Just click up on that link. We'll first go to our website, and you'll see the icon on the left-hand side. Click on the Santa tracker link, and yeah, you can do a bunch of fun stuff over there with the kiddos. Big thanks to Eau Claire Event District and American Drone for that. So, all right. Should we get things a-rocking and a-rolling around the Christmas tree here this morning? Yeah, that's a dumb joke. I apologize. So, let's get the lead off. Let's get the lead off rolling here this morning. So, obviously, a big laundry list of Packers injuries yesterday, and I see we got a few texts coming in here too. I'll get to let me just bring up some of those texts here before we kind of get into it here. My computer is acting a little slow, so bear with me. I don't know why it's going a little slow here. C-Bomb says, here's a topic. What the heck happened? What is this midseason championship garbage for the NBA? What a joke. I'm not even a basketball fan, and this is stupid. Do actual NBA fans think this championship means anything? In my opinion, this isn't even the Intercontinental Championship in wrestling. Should Knicks fans even be celebrating? I think it's dumb. Well, Bucks won it last year. Bucks fans are celebrating. Essentially what this is, C-Bomb, is the NBA trying to get players to play so they don't always do the quote-unquote load management thing. Trying to make something a little bit competitive during the season. Because the All-Star game sucks. That's nothing. And it's a combination of trying to make these games, trying to maybe draw a little bit more interest at the beginning part of it, and trying to get these players to buy in and not always have load management. It's not a big thing for me. Players get more money and such. That's a draw for some, but it is what it is. But Living a Dream Jeff says, how will the Bucks trade for anybody next time they have any draft picks? Next time they have any draft trade British like 2050? I don't know. I guess I don't. Next time they have any draft trade British like 2050. I'm not quite sure where you're going with that one, Jeff. What do they have? We kind of went through it yesterday. A lot of it's going to be player. Remember too, with NBA players, or with NBA trades, a lot of teams sometimes look for expiring contracts so they can move on from them and create some cap space and kind of reset for the following year. They can start to trade some of their first-round picks. That's going to be a risk, though, because of the Giannis situation. So it opens up a little bit more. But in this case, Bucks are probably going to be looking to unload some of these big contracts. Some of these teams take on these big contracts so that they can move on from them, and then it creates cap space that way. So like if, let's say Sacramento, Bucks want Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine has a big contract number. Maybe Sacramento's looking at this thing and like, okay, let's reset. We'll send him off. We'll take some expiring contracts, even though they're big numbers, but then we're going to be able to move on from them and open up that cap space. They don't necessarily have like the dead cap like the NFL does there. So there is a little bit of that involved. So Mark says, before Parsons got there, I viewed the X-Man as the ringleader of that defense. Maybe he can fill that role again. So, all right, let's go to a little green and gold chat here this morning. So one of the questions I kind of threw out there was, which side of the ball now going forward do you have the most confidence in, or maybe the the least amount of confidence in? Trying to say here, we know there's injuries both sides. Micah gone, offensive side really banged up, unknown about statuses of Watson, Tom, Josh Jacobs, et cetera, et cetera. If they play, we know they are not at 100%. So with all that being said, which side do you trust the most, or maybe have the least amount of confidence in as we start to wrap up this season with some huge games and nothing clinched yet? You look at it, let's kind of make the case and the case for, case against both sides. Offensively, you look at it, it's like, well, from the surface right now, some of their main players, like a Jordan Love, like a Christian Watson, Zach Tubb, Josh Jacobs, the positive things, none of them are ruled out, for the rest of the season. So the chance that the availability for them, they're all there. We still got our starting quarterback, receivers. We still got a guy like Jaden Reed, those type of players. Josh Jacobs, not done for the year. Watson doesn't sound like they're done for the year. So there's that optimism, right? But then you look at the offensive side there too, and offensive line, especially like Zach Tom doesn't play, there's going to be some struggles. Even when Zach Tom does play, you look at the rest of the offensive line. It's been inconsistent at best at times. And too many times probably getting dominated up front, whether it's in the running game or in the passing or pass protection. So there's probably, you look at the offensive side, outside of Tucker Kraft and Elton Jenkins, they've kept a lot of their main players. So maybe you're feeling good about that. Maybe you're feeling good about Toyota-thon and the way Jordan Love plays this time of year, and that's what gives you a little bit more confidence. Defensively, you look across and it's like, okay, Micah's not there. But now they kind of have a similar team to what they had last year. Outside of, no Kenny Clark, and then you throw in no Devontae Wyatt in this. But secondary, they went through a lot of injuries last year. They adjusted a lot. Evan Williams sounds like he's going to miss a game or two, but doesn't sound like it's going to affect if the Packers get to the postseason. Javon Bullard has, I think we can all agree, taken a step this year, a positive step this year. Edgerrin Cooper's got another year under his belt, and he's healthy more so than last year. Quay Walker seems to be a little bit better this year. So maybe that kind of gives you confidence from the defensive side. It's like, okay, it's a lot of the guys that we went into the postseason with last year, with the exception of Kenny Clark being the big one. Maybe big name in that. So maybe that's what gives you the confidence that, okay, well, they've been down this path before. Jeff Hafley has been down this path last year with a lot of injuries on the defensive side. He's creative in that way, and that's one of his strong suits. That's one of Jeff Hafley's strong suits as a defensive play caller is, being creative in that sense. But then maybe on the negative side, you're like, they can't generate a pass rush, though. Looking at some of those corners and maybe some of that zone coverage leaving open or leaving the middle of the field open quite a bit, that doesn't give me a whole lot of confidence either. I'm not even going to put special teams into this thing because I don't know if too many people outside of Daniel Whelan and Brandon McManus, if we have any confidence whatsoever in special teams. I mean, I have confidence in special teams that they're going to at least get a handful of penalties on holding and stuff on like no returns and really setting them further back in there. That's what I have got confidence in special teams, is that they're going to at least have a couple flags every single dang game for whatever reason. But I'll admit it's tough to pick between which side I have a little bit more faith in going going forward. And when you look at this game in particular with the Bears, if I'm being real, I might have, if I'm looking at just this matchup against Chicago and which side of the ball I maybe have a little bit more confidence in, I might have to pick a slight, very, very slight confidence in the offense. And here's why. So you look at what the Bears offense and Ben Johnson. So I'm looking at it from a Ben Johnson versus Jeff Hafley, Bears offense versus Packers defense thing here. And I just worry that Ben Johnson and that Bears offense is going to be able to move the ball consistently against this Packers defense with no Micah dictating up front. That worries me. And obviously Ben Johnson has experience going up against this Packers defense with no Micah from last year, right? I mean, offensive coordinator for the Lions. And Ben Johnson kind of alluded to that, yesterday when he was asked about, how do you prepare against a team now with no Micah Parsons? And he alluded to the fact of their experience, within the division from last year and looking at stuff a lot from last year. And what happened last year against division teams? Packers one win, and it was barely a win against Chicago. I trust Jeff Hafley. I've got confidence in him, but I don't know right now if I have. I guess it boils down to, do I have the faith in the players that are going to be lined up on that field to make some plays? And I'm kind of looking at it more so from, the front four and the corners. Now, if Rome Odunze doesn't play, and I know Luther Burden was a DNP yesterday too, that does help. You still got DJ Moore over there. You still got some tight ends you got to worry about from the Bears side of things. But I give a ton of credit to Ben Johnson. He's going to scheme stuff. He's going to open up some stuff for other guys. Whereas the Packers offense, and I know it's a big, big, big assumption to say Christian Watson's going to play in this game. And the fact that Josh Jacobs is banged up again does give me a little bit of pause. But we got a quarterback. And I think this is a moment for Jordan Love. This is a big-time moment for Jordan Love to kind of, again, showcase and show he is a top 5, top 10, whatever you want to say, quarterback in this league. This is an opportunity for him to carry this team, to put this team on his shoulders. To say, I got you guys. Let's go. Let's do this. I'll lead you. You follow. This is an opportunity for that. So if I look at it from both sides, I may say that, man, I've got a little bit more confidence in the offensive side just because we got our quarterback over there. I think a big key to this thing, and we'll hit it up more on Friday, but a big key to this game is going to be time of possession and cashing in on touchdowns. Green Bay's offense able to consistently just matriculate down the field and not settling for field goals, but getting points. Keeping Chicago's offense on the sidelines. Especially if Chicago's offense is just going to kind of have those 10-play drives, double-digit drives like they did in the first game and wear out this defense. I'll tell you right now, with the vibe check heading into this game, I'm at a loss. Like, I I don't have a really good gauge either way. I could probably convince myself that they're going to win, and I could probably convince myself that they're going to lose right now. And I'm really worried about the players that potentially won't play. That is up in the air. We know Mike is not playing, but the other guys. I think Evan Williams is going to be a huge loss to that defense, especially in that running game. With that Bears game, we talked about how the Bears, one of the things is like, well, the Packers defense stopped the Bears from having explosive runs. And Chicago was the best at that time in explosive runs, 10 yards or more. But they were having runs of like 8, 9. I mean, it was kind of nitpicking. But what was the reason? So, I mean, Chicago's guys were getting through the first level. It was because of guys like Evan Williams crashing down and making plays. He sounds like won't be there. And that is going to be a huge loss in terms of the running game. And that's what makes me a little nervous too. You're probably going to see a ton of base again, but are they going to be able to stop the run up front in the middle? We got to take a quick break here. We got more on this, though. Send me your thoughts. Don't forget, it is a Wild Card Wednesday, so what other topics do you want to hit up here this morning? Send those on over. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back in just a couple minutes. Next Tuesday, don't forget, it's our annual Festivus for the Rest of Us show over at the VFW Post 305. Less than a week away, man. So if you don't have to work that day, stop by between 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. And if you come over and say hi, I'll buy you a Man Cave pint of Man Cave Light. And then between 6A to 10A, the VFW Post 305 is going to be doing $1 domestic mugs, $2 craft mugs. We've got the airing of grievances coming up around 8:30, and then the feats of strength between C-Bomb and Surveyor Sam at 9 o'clock. So we'll get that one going around 9 o'clock too. So it's also kind of our holiday party for our listeners, supporters and such. So even if you got to work, but maybe you could stop by for a quick hello or maybe for a quick breakfast and such. They've got amazing breakfasts over at the VFW Post 305. So easily check that out over there too. So looking forward to it. Less than 7 days away already. Can you believe it? Man. Brett on the YouTube stream says, I think Lloyd needs to find out the Reggie White treatment when it comes to his hamstring. In terms of a topic, if you had the capability to improve something on the Packers, what would it be? For me, it would be the hands on the defense. They can't catch a cold. So what would be something to improve? Let's take away injuries and health, right? I mean, that's the easy one. That I think would be a pick for everybody. So if we had to kind of wave a magic wand and improve something on this Packers team, what would it be? I mean, we could say a couple of things that just ran through my mind were stopping the run up the middle, defending the middle, playing better zone defense and coverage. So there's not continuously, it just feels like it's more times than not on third down, somebody's flashing open over the middle of the field on zone defense. So I'd throw that in there. If we're talking about like specific stuff like Brett, like you said, hands on the defense, I'd also say pre-snap penalties, for especially like the offensive line. Stop putting your offense into deeper holes, taking one step forward, 2 steps back sort of thing. I'd throw that into the conversation too. Maybe a little bit of improvement from Keyshawn Nixon. Just like, okay, you want to be number one corner, I need you to be a shutdown corner. Carrington Valentine's tackling ability as of late, I'd throw that in there. I mean, a guy has had a chance to make a couple of, great reads on some passes, but can't bring down the ball carrier. So I'd probably throw his improvement on tackling in there too. So Lucas Van Ness able to stay on his feet when he catches a ball. That'd be a big one. Maybe not being, maybe improving his yards after catch. I'd kind of throw that one in there too. Just kind of going down the laundry list. There's a few. Anybody else got ones they'd want to throw out there? You can hit me up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. All right. So we'll see what maybe the potential updated injury list is going to be today when it gets released by the Packers. But it'll be interesting to see how LaFleur and his coaching staff really handles this week of preparation, knowing they've got a very, very, very banged up squad. But I also got a huge, huge game with Chicago that is going to be another physical matchup. As a coach, this is the preparation for this week. This is going to be, I think, difficult, but also huge in terms of how Matt LaFleur prepares his team for this upcoming week. It's that balance of making sure they get enough rest, recovery, but also got to get some work in before that game on Saturday night. You have to. But where do you put that balance? It's going to be interesting to see how they approach it. There's no question about it. Going back to that question we posted up a little bit later, or a little last night, our post-Glass Mirror 715 Speaks poll question: who's got to be that defensive player that becomes the game changer now that Micah Parsons isn't there? And a wide majority went with Rashawn Gary, and I think that would be accurate. One, he's getting paid to be a game changer, so go be a game changer now. I get it. Opposing offenses now are probably going to pay attention a little bit more to 52 now that number one isn't out there. So I understand that. But go be a game changer, okay? Micah was getting a ton of attention. He was still getting it done. Myles Garrett gets a ton of attention. He was still getting it done. TJ Watt is the same thing. Rashawn Gary is neither one of those guys. But if you are getting paid as a top 10 or maybe just outside the top 10 now, edge rusher, you have got to be a game changer. So I would agree with the majority right now. It's got to be Gary. It has got to be Gary. I think some wild card players into this thing. I'm going to look at Edrin Cooper. Year 2, guy can do a lot. He's got great reaction. The numbers last year, what was it, like double-digit TFLs, tackles for losses? We got to have that version of Edrin Cooper. We may see Edrin Cooper blitzing up the middle a little bit more, getting after the quarterback. I'd say Quay Walker is probably going to be involved in that too. I really feel like we're going to see more of Walker and Edrin Cooper being a little bit more active and asked to do a little bit more now on the defensive side with no Quay Walker. With no Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons was easily the best athlete on that defense. So who's next? That's Quay and Cooper. A ton is going to be put on their shoulders. And McKinney probably was the leader of the defense last year. Obviously, the interception machine. Yeah, he's probably going to have to step up in terms of his leadership role, in terms of some playmaking. I know offenses, especially in passing situations, they're very aware of where 29 is. Where is he lining up? But playmakers make plays. Game changers change outcomes, change the game. In 29, Xavier McKinney, it's going to be a little bit more on shoulders. There's more on everybody's shoulders. But I'm looking at those 4 specifically as like, okay, you 4 have to lead the charge. You 4. It's got to start with you guys. It's got to start with Rashawn Gary on that first level, Cooper and Walker on the second, Xavier in the third. Those 4. I think this is a hell of a moment for Enoch Barre. I think we're going to see more reps from him, and this is a guy who's going to have a chance to make a boatload of cash in the offseason. I think he was going to get a decent payday to begin with, but now he's got a huge, absolutely huge opportunity to go out there and make bank. And obviously Lucas Van Ness does too if he's out there. To really, I think, if Lucas Van Ness goes out there and he gets extended playing time and he plays incredibly well, Packers are going to probably feel a whole lot better about him maybe being a starter next year if they do, in fact, decide to move on from Rashawn Gary. They're focusing on the now. But going forward, when these last 3 regular season games and hopefully a postseason run is going to answer some questions on the defensive side or maybe pose a few more. Players want opportunities. They want opportunities to showcase what they have. Here you go. Now go out there and do it. All right, we got to take our final break. We'll be back to wrap up hour 1 coming up in just a couple minutes. Make holiday shopping simple this year with a stop at Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire. From premium hand-cut roasts and holiday hams to perfectly seasoned brats, fresh ground beef, and all your favorite meats. Mike's has everything you need to make your holiday meals unforgettable. Stock up for family gatherings, gift great local flavor, and enjoy the quality and service that only a hometown market delivers. Mike's Star Market, bringing fresh local goodness to your holiday season. Don't forget, it is also a ASAP Used Auto Parts Am I Wrong Wednesday. Give me your sports takes. Give me your sports opinions where you would say, am I wrong? Am I wrong for thinking this? Am I wrong for saying that? All right. Best ones I'll read up on the air. In fact, I'll probably read everybody's. All right. So text them on over to that Shoe Doctors bullpen line or hit me up on the YouTube video stream. Also, keep sending in some Wild Card Wednesday topics where we put you, the listener, as the producer. So send over your topics at hand, and we'll get to those throughout the program. Coming up next hour, I want to lead it off talking some more Bucks, the latest trade rumors, and it doesn't involve Giannis. In fact, kind of an interesting quote from a rival general manager, what they had to say about the Bucks' plans here. So maybe, just maybe, the Bucks might be a little bit more active than what we thought going forward for the NBA trade deadline, and mostly in terms of adding guys to surround Giannis. Really, really, really mortgaging their immediate future. So we'll hit that up. Coming up at the beginning of next hour. So we got that. And plus, we'll do some trade rumors, or some, I should say, free agency rumors, baseball rumors. It's hot stove season in Major League Baseball. So we'll take a look at what some of the latest rumors and rumblings are surrounding that. We'll wrap it up this hour with Morgan. Good morning, Morgan.
Well, hey, maybe you already touched on this and I didn't hear you, but what do you think about Giannis leaving? What's the likelihood, and what would be the motivation?
Motivation why he would want to leave?
Yeah.
To win a championship.
Right, but do you think it's going to happen?
That he leaves?
Yeah, for that reason alone? Just after being so Milwaukee-centric, you know?
I mean, he says all the time that he just wants to win championships, so I think that is the ultimate reason why he'd want to leave.
Yeah, seems authentic. Mm-hmm. What do you think the potential percentage of him leaving and suiting up in another jersey is?
55.
Really? So a little bit over half? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. I was just curious.
Yep.
Well, Wednesday wild card ahead of the holiday weekend. I thought we'd do a little quick Christmas trivia. If you're like 1 to 5 Buddy the Elf ratings, where are you on your festive spirit this year?
I'm always about a 5 for Christmas. It's my favorite.
Every year?
Yeah.
Okay. Then what color were candy canes originally? You should score pretty high on the pop Christmas quiz.
Well, it's obviously not red and white then, right?
You can't ask me for hints. I'm issuing the quiz.
We're talking about the original peppermint ones, right?
The
not the Jolly Ranchers, Starburst.
Those don't count.
Okay. I'll say green.
No.
Okay.
White.
Okay, that was my second guess.
Red stripes were added later.
Okay.
It was like a mini trick question, but not that much. What's the German name for "Oh Christmas Tree"?
I have no idea, but I'm sure Dwight would know.
You do know. You are Dwight.
Oh, Tannenbaum.
There, see, you got it. I knew you'd get there. What's the ballet that has the sugar plum fairy in it?
Is it the Nutcracker?
It is. Okay. You are pretty cheery here. What pudding is mentioned in "We Wish You a Merry Christmas"? You just told me yesterday that you're a big Bing fan. You've been listening to the classics.
Yeah.
"We Wish You a Merry Christmas." What kind of pudding do they talk about?
It's not fudge pudding, is it?
No, but it starts with an F.
Figgy pudding.
It is figgy pudding. Yeah. Where did the Christmas tree tradition start?
Like country-wise?
Yep. You had a mini hint a second ago when we were talking about
Germany.
Yes. Okay, then let's move it to the states. What is the first U.S. state to recognize Christmas as a holiday?
Ooh.
This was 1836. So obviously there's not been a whole entire westward expansion yet.
I'll go some random Maine.
No.
Okay.
It did surprise me, though.
Rhode Island. Delaware.
Bama.
Alabama. Okay.
Alabama. Yeah, I didn't see that one coming either. What is the holiday flower that's associated with the season most often?
Poinsettia.
Thank you for 2 syllables.
Yeah.
I don't do the 3-syllable poinsettia.
Oh, no.
That's like people that say caramel.
Yeah.
It's caramel.
It's caramel.
Poinsettia. Yeah.
Yep.
I get it. Thank you for the poinsettia pronunciation there. How many of the deer can you name besides reindeer? There were 9.
Oh, man, and I got 10 seconds. So are we counting Rudolph?
Less than a second a deer, man.
Dasher,
Yes.
Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cubit, Donner, Blitzen.
Yeah, I think you did it. You got a full team to pull your sleigh.
Yes.
Way to go.
Thank you.
You got a good hoe rating.
All right.
Ho,
Wait.
ho, ho. 3 hoes.
All right, here we go. Second hour, kick it off right now on this Wednesday morning. Appreciate you tuning in, wherever, however you may be tuning in. C-Bomb answering one of Brett's questions. If he could change one thing, it would be the third down defense in general. Green Bay gives up 39.3% of third downs this season. That is with Micah Parsons. Last year, they were 36%. They were the bottom half of the NFL, 17th overall in third down defense. Every third down given up is a game-changing play. It is a Wild Card Wednesday, so if you got a topic at hand that you would like to throw out to the rest of our armchair MVPs, please go ahead and hit me up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912. Also, you can join in on the YouTube video stream. I want to kick off this hour, though, chatting some hoops. So the Bucks will be back in action tomorrow. The Knicks won the NBA Cup over the Spurs last night. But there was a little bit more rumors surrounding the Milwaukee Bucks. And this is from Jake Fisher from the Stein line. All right, it's a Substack from Mark Stein and such, but Jake Fisher calls himself the People's Insider, NBA reporter and such. And he had an interesting quote and a little bit of a write-up on his Substack. But one quote from a rival GM that he talked to said, quote, one rival general manager I spoke to went so far to say that the Bucks have convinced him that, quote, they're going big game hunting. Jake Fisher also goes on to say that the Bucks are doing everything in their power to convince Giannis to stay and have expressed interest in Zach LaVine and Jeremy Grant, as well as players like Andrew Wiggins, Marcus Smart, and Dejounte Murray in the past. So that's a lot of kind of guards, swing forwards, that type of thing. I mean, you're looking at like a 3 or a 2 shooting guard, small forward type of players. Interesting list of players. Obviously, we talked a little bit about Zach LaVine yesterday. You look at Jeremy Grant, he's averaging 20 points per game so far this year. He's going to be 32 in March. You look at Marcus Smart, with Marcus Smart here, he's not going to get you a ton of scoring. He's not Zach LaVine. He's not, obviously, with Grant. What's Marcus Smart known for? Marcus Smart is known for defense, aggressive defense, kind of one of those players, especially when he was with Boston, remember. When he was with Boston, he was that guy that kind of maybe irritated a lot of people, maybe a little like a PJ Tucker was during the Bucks championship season in that. So that would be Marcus Smart. Again, this is weird, but a lot of these guys so far that we're mentioning have birthdays in March, shortly after the trade deadline. He's going to be 32 in March as well. But that would be an interesting one because that would be straight up for, I think, defensive purposes. And when we look at this Bucks team outside of the injuries to Giannis and such, what has been probably the biggest area of concern is probably defensive play. Andrew Wiggins with Miami right now, he is averaging 16.6 points per game. Now, I don't know if Miami would be interested in moving on from him, but I saw this too, that Milwaukee has regularly called about Andrew Wiggins during his tenure in Golden State. This is according to Hoops Hype, and the Bucks were also quite interested in Dejounte Murray. So, I mean, we've heard about as well from the last couple years. So, if you look at a lot of these, and Murray right now averaging 17.5 points per game. Yeah. So again, this goes back to let's go back to Murray. Just reading it. Bucks have expressed some interest. Okay. Stein goes on to say that the Bucks' interest in Murray began during his days with the Hawks, but ultimately the Pelicans acquired him after trading Dyson Daniels, Larry Nance Jr., and 2 first-round picks, including an unprotected 2025 selection from the Lakers. So, all right. But anyways, those are big names. And that fits the quote from a rival GM saying the Bucks are going big game hunting. Also, we can probably rephrase it by saying the Bucks are desperate. And the Bucks really, really, really want to try to make a splash move and really, really, really want to try to get another piece to this thing. It is clearly evident, if this was the goal that they had in the offseason, hey, into the season, where they visioned this team as like, yeah, we know we can win with this one, or we feel like we can win with this team. And it hasn't happened. Obviously, a lot is because of Giannis being hurt. And that is the risk you go into a season. With that lineup that they had, with that roster that they had, a lot was going to be on the shoulders of Giannis staying healthy and playing the majority of these games. That hasn't transpired. And now they're kind of in a hole. So they're on like plan K, whatever it is down. Like, okay, now we got to kind of maybe blow it up a little bit. And instead of resetting We're probably going to go a little bit deeper. I mean, this, I guess to kind of maybe put it in a football perspective, this has kind of reminded me a little bit of the Saints over the years in terms of salary cap stuff. They keep kicking things down the road. You know, it's like the Saints, especially like when Drew Brees was there or even after he was there and such, and Sean Payton was still head coach, they just kind of kept kicking the can down the road for a lot of their salary stuff, and they were always in salary cap, HE double hockey sticks, and they just kept kicking it down, and eventually it was going to bite them, and eventually it probably is going to bite the Bucs. But this, if the Bucs are successful in maybe getting a big fish, a big player out there, they're going to have to pay for it later on down the road. It's probably going to be, they're never going to have a draft pick until like 2060, a first-round draft pick. They're going to have all this money, you know, paying guys that aren't there and such, and yada, yada, yada. But is it worth it? And that's the thing, too, like for the NBA, it's different, man. I feel like it's different because you have that one player, that one superstar player that they do have in Giannis, and especially in a market like Milwaukee, let's face it, it's still a thing. It's not the Lakers. It's not the Knicks. In a market like that, if you have that guy there and he's committed to being there, if you are a winner, you kind of have to do some out-of-the-box thinking, some aggressive moves. And that's the one thing that we have seen from John Horst and this Bucs team ever since Horst has been general manager. He is not afraid to make aggressive moves, but also moves that kind of correct some of his previous decisions and moves. You know, Eric Bledsoe, they signed him to a long-term deal. Then it was obvious that wasn't working. So they flip him. You bring in Drew Holiday, which worked. And then after the championship, Bucs were a little banged up. Middleton was getting banged up and such. Like they realized, okay, maybe we need another scoring option, another superstar, if you will, to pair up with Giannis. Because if Giannis is missing time, we need that other option out there. It's not Middleton. So they go and get Dame. That didn't work. I mean, you look at it from all the different coaching stuff that they've made, decisions with surrounding that, other moves, other trades. They've been aggressive in trying to fix some of their mistakes. And I think on one hand, as a fan, you have to appreciate that you have a GM or an ownership group or front office, whatever you want to call it, a team that, you know, hey, we made this move and we're going to stick it out because we don't want to keep digging ourselves into a bigger hole in that. If you want your team to win now, as a fan, you probably appreciate that to a point because it's like, okay, they're trying. Because flip it to the Brewers side of things, I think if you ask a lot of Brewers fans, not every Brewers fan, but a lot of Brewers fans would just like maybe would like to see the team kind of push some of their chips into the middle and be aggressive, like what the Bucs have been doing. Hell, the Packers did it this year with Micah Parsons. And I guarantee you that if we find out in the coming days or months or whatever it's going to be, that the Bucs acquire a, quote, big fish, they go out big game hunting and they get a Zach LaVine or a Grant or whoever it may be, but they bring in a guy that's averaging 20 points per game, there's going to be a big contingency of Bucs fans that are going to be pumped because, one, all right, we got another playmaker. Two, that must mean Giannis is sticking around. Eventually, you'll have to pay the piper. Eventually, the Bucs will have to do that. Maybe it's when Giannis retires. Maybe it's when they finally trade Giannis or Giannis just doesn't re-sign and he leaves in free agency. Whatever it is, eventually they will have to pay the piper. But you at least right now have an ownership group in Milwaukee that is willing to spend a lot of money, that is willing to kind of pay a little bit of a luxury tax and such to compete for championships, to try to win. So it's a balancing act as a fan. At one point, maybe we get frustrated with some of the stuff, but when you look at it from an overall picture, it's like, but hey, at least they're trying to make moves. Some of those moves didn't make, or some of those moves that they made didn't work. But I me being a Bucks fan, I at least appreciate that they're being aggressive in some areas and they're at least trying. And, on a decision that they, like for the Bledsoe one, they re-signed him. They signed him to, I think at that time it was like a 4-year, $70-some million deal. And you just kind of tell it's like, maybe it's just not quite working. Instead of just saying, well, too bad we signed him and we're rolling with that. They're like, no, we got to get better. We got to make an improvement. And they did with Drew Holiday. I appreciate it as a fan. The money part, that doesn't affect me, right? Doesn't affect me. It's not like I'm contributing, I guess maybe in a sense a little bit here with tickets and swag and all that. But, it's like, oh, okay, I got to throw a few bucks more into to pay this contract. I don't see it on my bottom line. So I appreciate to see a franchise, smaller market, whatever you want to call it, in Milwaukee, that is aggressive in a lot of these moves, that is trying to remain competitive instead of just shrugging shoulders and cashing it in, or just trying to, going back to those Bucks teams. And it's not offense on Herb Cole and that, but like A seed, just getting in, just good enough to get in. A seed, A seed, A seed, higher expectations, higher goals. John says, my wild card Wednesday question is, if you could take any athlete that's not in the NFL right now and put them on this Green Bay roster to start Saturday against the Bears, who would it be and what position would they play? I'd probably pick somebody from the NBA. Who would be like a good... I have to give me a little bit to think about that one, John. I'm thinking like a tight end or something like that. So, all right. That's a good one, though. I'll have to think about that one, John. I'll throw it out to the rest of the peeps. It's one thing to say, hey, I could throw Victor Wembanyama out there because he's a tall, giant person. But, I mean, if he can't run and gets tackled right away and such, and who knows if he can even catch a football or a bullet from Jordan Love. You know what I mean? I'm trying to think of some athletes. I'm sure Surveyor's probably going to come out and hit me up with a bunch of rugby players to throw out there. Which, I mean, okay, Surveyor, I trust you to name me some rugby players that we can add to this Packers roster right now to answer John's question. So that would be a good one too. And if we have any like diehard hockey fans, there's got to be some guys over there too, right? Who would be a good? Try to think. Is there somebody in MLB? Like a center fielder or somebody that can just track down things and be a really good corner for this team. It's got that speed and just like covers a ton of ground. I got to hit though. That's the thing, right? They got to be able to hit somebody and take a hit too. That's where I'm looking at like younger version LeBron would be the easy answer. That would be the easy answer. I have to think about that a little bit more. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more coming up in just a few minutes. Speaking of the VFW Post 305, don't forget again, mark it on your calendars. Next Tuesday, December 23rd, we'll be over there for our Festivus for the Rest of Us program, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. It's also our fan appreciation, partner appreciation show. So stop by. If you don't have to work that day, come over and say hi to Brandon and myself. I'll buy you a pint of Man Cave Light. And then from 6A to 10A, the fine folks at the VFW Post 305 are going to be doing $1 domestic mugs, $2 craft mugs. If you got to work, but you need some breakfast, they got a fantastic breakfast over there, too. We've got the airing of grievances coming up at about 8:30 that day. We'll do the feats of strength at 9 a.m., all that good stuff there. Looking forward to it. It will be the last program for the year, too. So, again, if you got to work or, maybe you got to drop the kiddos off at school or such, just stop by for a quick hello and such, and maybe we got some gifts to be handing out as well. So that'll be next Tuesday, December 23rd at the VFW Post 305, located Star Avenue in Eau Claire. I got a few of you with some texts here, so I'll get to that for our Wild Card Wednesday and such, so I'll get back to some of your texts and that. Switching gears, going to a little green and gold chat. We'll chat some football here with Joe. So, Joe, I'll throw this question out to you that we've been throwing out a little bit earlier. With no Micah Parsons, who is the player on the defensive side now that has to be this game changer for this defense, this playmaker for this defense for the rest of the season?
Yeah, and I saw you did the Kevin Green, it is time post as well. So I think it is time for Jeff Hapley to pull the defensive playbook out and the plan of attack going into this year when he did not have Micah Parsons. And I think the guy is 56. It's Edgerrin Cooper. I think you need to get creative now if you're Jeff Hapley. So it is time. Who needs to step up? The player is Cooper, and I think he's got the ability to do so. But Jeff Hapley needs to be the designer, the architect, if you will, to get Cooper into a situation. And again, you look at what happened last year. Jeff Hapley realized, okay, I'm not getting pressure with my front four. I got to get creative with blitzes. That's where Edgerrin Cooper really came in, and you could just see his explosiveness and his ability to penetrate and really blow up plays and really make it hard for that offensive line and that quarterback to tell where he's coming from. And so I think Hapley needs to go back to plan, which was plan A before they had Micah Parsons, but plan B after. And I think he needs to go back to his original plan A. So Edgerrin Cooper is the player, but Jeff Hapley needs to get him in position to win.
So with, obviously the experience from last year that Hapley had with this group, would that mean that you would have a little bit more confidence in the defensive side of the ball going forward, or would you give a little bit more confidence to the offense? Because, yes, Christian Watson, Josh Jacobs, they're all banged up, but at least they're not done for the season. Who do you trust more, the offense or the defense, for the final 3 games?
You know what? The offense has got to step up, and I think they've got to own key parts of the game. I mean, the Green Bay, look, without Micah Parsons, down by 8 against Denver, Green Bay's offense got the ball 3 times and didn't do anything with it. And so the defense didn't play well against Denver with or without Micah Parsons, but really the defense made stops when they had to in that fourth quarter, and the offense didn't come through. So I have more confidence in the offense because we've seen Jordan Love go on these types of stretches. We know what Josh Jacobs is all about. We know that Christian Watson is not done for the year. And so I think when you look at it, I think again, offensively, you're 2 players that, and again, when the season started and as the season was progressing, it bounced back and forth. But your 2 players, your 2 go-to players, offensively, it's Jordan Love. Defensively, it was Micah Parsons. You still have Jordan Love. And so I think you need to lean on 10, and I think the offense needs to carry this team until the defense can find a post-Parsons identity. And I think, look, the next 3 games, actually this next game is really the key game, I think, whether or not Green Bay is going to respond positively after Parsons' injury. I think this is the game. And when you talk about must-win games, I think this is a must-win game for the Green Bay Packers. I think if Matt LaFleur can rally the troops, it's got to be this game. And look, I think also when you look at this game, injuries are going to be the story. When you look at the injury report from Tuesday, and again, this is a walkthrough and it's projected, et cetera, et cetera. You know, Josh Jacobs did not participate. You've got Zach Tom did not participate. Lucas Van Ness did not participate. Christian Watson did not participate. So Evan Williams did not participate. When you look at the Bears side of things, both Burden and Adunze would have been considered non-participants. So we'll see a little bit more today on the injury report, but I think that's going to be one of the keys to the game is who does Green Bay get back for Saturday night?
On the offensive side, who's going to be more important for that game on Saturday? Is it Zach Tom, Josh Jacobs, or Christian Watson?
Great question. And I would rank them this way. I'll go Christian Watson. I'll go Zach Tom, and I'll go Josh Jacobs. And I only say this because of the fact that Emmanuel Wilson has shown when healthy, he can pick up the slack. No one has shown when Christian Watson's not in there that they can pick up the slack. And again, now Matthew Golden, I think he's really coming on. And if you look at Golden, just real quick as a side note, if you look at his catch percentage this year, targets versus catches, it's one of the highest on the teams. And so could Matthew Golden step into that position? Possibly, but he hasn't gotten there yet. And so I look at it and I say, okay, can Kennard step in for Tom? So I think when you look at it, Josh Jacobs probably has the best backup behind him to step in and produce, and we've seen it with Emmanuel Wilson. So, again, it's a tough spot. Any one of the three is critical to this offense's success. And so the Packers right now really in a tough spot, but it is that next man up mentality. Now, real quick on the defensive side of the ball, it's going to be interesting to see if Green Bay can get anything out of Brenton Cox. And looking at that injury report, he would have been considered a full participant. And he, again, is on that 21-day practice window where he could return. And if you look back to last year and going back to Halfley, Brenton Cox actually, back half the year, produced pretty well. When you look at pressures and you look at actually how many snaps and you look at pressures per snap. And so he could be a key to this game as far as making up a little bit of what Micah Parsons brought to the table. So again, I do think who plays and who doesn't play Saturday night is just going to be a big indicator of whether or not Green Bay can win this football game.
Looking at, for this game heading into it and such, if you're Matt LaFleur with all the injuries that they went through on Sunday, and obviously, I mean, we're all human, and I know some people say they got to turn it off and such, and yeah, they do, but I mean, we're all human at that point too. What are you telling your players in that locker room, not only after the loss, but having all of those major injuries in that game? What's the message you're saying to your group?
You know what? I think LaFleur already said it. But no one's going to feel sorry for us. No one is going to feel sorry for LaFleur. No one is, these things happen. And if you look, and again, we're focused on Green Bay, but if you look at other teams through the years, there's been these devastating injuries that could be the death knell of a season. And again, I'm not saying Green Bay is going to go to the Super Bowl, but the Giants won a Super Bowl with Jeff Hostetler. And so, you look at these things and you look at the teams that have survived. And again, I think it really is. Matt LaFleur is like, look, no one's going to feel sorry for us. The job we have to do is going to be with the men in this room, in this locker room. And so it's up to you, man. It's up to us coaches, and it's up to the players that are healthy and available to try to get them through this stretch until they can find who they are, their identity post Micah Parsons. Because, look, when you think about it, when you got a closer like Micah Parsons, your attitude is probably a little bit different. Your attitude, it's human nature. You talked about the human side of this game. It's human nature. If you have a difference maker like that, maybe you say to yourself, my concentration level on this play doesn't need to be 100% because I know Mike is here. Or even my effort level doesn't need to be 100% because Mike is here. That has to change. And again, look, you've got 2 first-round draft choices who are still left on that defensive line, Lucas Van Ness and Rashawn Gary. And it is time. It is time. And Rashawn Gary, again, his sacks, are on the milk carton right now because he hasn't had one since October. But Lucas Van Ness could be a big-time difference maker. But again, I think that message is clear. No one's feeling sorry for us. The job we have to do is going to be with the men in this locker room, and that includes the coaching staff and the players.
Looking at, obviously, we're still fresh off that Bears victory, but one thing that Chicago was able to do in that game against Green Bay was run up the middle in the second half. Now with no Micah Parsons and such, what's your approach? If you're Jeff Hafley, what do you change on the defensive side to try to stop that interior run? Because I think that's one thing we know. Ben Johnson's not afraid that if it's working, he's going to stick with it.
Yeah, I think it's gap. It's gap integrity. All right, so I think that's really, first of all, where it starts, and I think you've got a couple of different guys that you can kind of bring in there. Again, Jordan Riley, who they got off the Giants practice squad, and Quentin Bohanna, who they got off of Seattle. Could those guys bring something to the table? But I think you need gap integrity, and I think what you need to do is make sure that you're consistent throughout the game. Carl Brooks, Colby Wooden, they need to step up. But I'm hoping a couple more weeks into this that Riley and Bohanna can actually bring something to the table in the running game. The other thing where Green Bay's defense needs to look out for is obviously Caleb Williams when he gets out of the pocket. He is a different quarterback when he is outside the pocket. When you look at his completion percentage and his average yards per attempt, 58% completion percentage, under 7 yards average per attempt is not impressive. You flip it around and you start looking now at the split between him as a drop-back quarterback and him on the move, it's night and day. So I think, yes, the running game up the middle, but Green Bay also, when we talk about gap integrity, the pass rush lanes need to also be to stay in in the integrity of the pass rush, the lanes themselves. And again, Rashawn Gary, you've seen it the last few weeks. When Rashawn Gary starts to press, he loses technique. He takes a lot of inside pass rushes. So I think what he needs to do, and you need to really hammer this home this week, is you've got to stay outside. You've got to keep Caleb Williams in the pocket. So, yeah, you've got to be gap integrity-wise. You've got to be that in the running game. I think you have to stay true to that in the passing game. Those are really, I think, where Green Bay wins this game. If they can stay in their gaps and stay sound and consistent in their gaps, whether it be in the passing game or the running game, I think they can win this football game.
Going back, I want to bring Jordan Love. So after that game, I don't know why, but I was getting messages from people saying Jordan Love played awful in this game, and I don't know what they were watching. I thought, Jordan Love, I thought was fantastic, and losing your best offensive lineman and wide receiver is probably going to have an effect in the second half against one of the best, if not the best, defenses in the league, especially going after the quarterback. But let me ask you this question. So yesterday, Mike McDaniel for the Dolphins says we might make a change at quarterback. Looking back at that 2020 draft, Joe Burrow, Tua, Justin Herbert, Jordan Love, Jalen Hurts. You had all those quarterbacks. If you redid the draft based off of what we saw right now, of just those quarterbacks, where would you slot Jordan Love amongst those names I just gave you?
You know what? And it's a great question, and I'll tell you, I've gone back and forth on this, and I would say Jalen Hurts number one and Jordan Love number two. Looking at what the other quarterbacks have done, and I know Joe Burrow's been to a Super Bowl. I understand that, but the fragility of one Joe Burrow, it's very evident that he has had a hard time staying healthy. Justin Hebert is great. But again, has he brought his team over the top? Has he done more to improve the team than just himself? And so obviously, I think in my opinion, Tua becomes the last in that one. But I would go Jalen Hurts, then Jordan Love. And again, I think Love does need to step up. And look, I heard the people talking about Love as well. And I want to break down one play in particular, because I've seen people talk about the fact that if Jordan Love doesn't underthrow that pass to Christian Watson. And again, I have zero problem with the play call. I have zero problem with the kill shot at that point. People have talked about Matt LaFleur being too conservative. You just get the ball back up 9 points, and you take a shot one-on-one with your best receiver against their best guy. And people say, well, if that wasn't underthrown, look at the whole play.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I love football. Look at the whole play in its totality, and look at every player on that play, because if Anthony Belton doesn't give up inside pressure, Jordan Love probably makes a better pass. Now, was it a horrible pass? No. Was it putting it up there and letting his dude make a play? Absolutely. So, in my opinion, those people that said Jordan Love played horribly, you need to look at the totality of the game. And you need to break down plays a little bit more than just watching what the quarterback does. Because as Jordan Love is getting ready to throw, he's got inside pressure because Belton got beat, and he cannot step into that throw. And so, again, I don't think Jordan Love played horribly. Matter of fact, if you look at his first half stats, he was actually on pace to have his best game ever as a pro. And so, yes, you got it. That Dontavian Wicks pass has to be a better pass. So there's no question. Now, is it catchable? Absolutely. Was that a catchable pass? Absolutely. But does Jordan Love need to throw that in front of him so he doesn't have to reach back for it? Absolutely. The margin for error without Micah Parsons, without Christian Watson during the game, is slim. But Jordan Love playing a horrible game? No. He did not play a horrible game. And again, you got to look at the totality of plays. If it's a big-time play, and I saw people complaining about LaFleur, and I'm like, man, you are the same people complaining about LaFleur being too conservative.
Yeah.
And This is the guy that's taking the kill shot up 9. And I'll tell you, if that's a completion, that ball game's over.
Mm-hmm. That
That ball game is over, because that could have been a touchdown, because Watson was open at first. And again, Surtain is basically one of the best defensive backs in the NFL. Defending, so that's a player making a play.
Yeah, defending player of the year, defensive player of the year.
Yeah. I shake my head. I think there's a portion of the fan base that wants to see Jordan Love fail, and I just don't understand that mentality.
I don't either. I know this is something we bring up every couple days. I feel like when it comes to Love, and I feel like part of it is probably that people just want to be proven right. You know, you and I have talked about it. We didn't like the pick. I'm glad we were wrong. I'm very glad I was wrong. And I don't. It's your team. Why not just be on the bandwagon? And I don't get it half the time. So
yeah, look. You and I have had this conversation. And I think you're right. I think they want to justify their feelings early on. And you and I are two of the guys that early on did not like the pick. As he was developing, didn't see the development, had our serious doubts about it. Again, go through the NFL right now. How many other quarterbacks would you want on your team right now, Packer fans? And do it objectively. Go through the list. And I'll argue there's probably 5 or 6, if you look at it subjectively, that you could say, yeah, I'd take him over Jordan Love. But really, you're going to say arguably a top 6, top 7, top 8 quarterback in the NFL. You're not happy with that? And again, I think it all goes back to Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre.
Yeah.
Since 1992, the quarterback play has been exceptional. And I laugh a little bit, because I think if social media were more prevalent during the Favre years, I think you would have seen much more about Favre's turnovers and about his, how he can put his team in great position, but then put his team in a poor position, almost on the same drive. And so, I just think Packer fans need to get perspective sometimes and take a step back and look around the rest of the NFL and then say, who would you rather have?
I agree. All right, before we let you go, what's your prediction for Saturday night?
It's a tough one, Captain, and it's probably more heart than head. It really is, but I'm going with the Packers. I think they rally. I think Chicago's defense, if they don't get turnovers, and I know this is a big if because they're a turnover-producing machine, that defense isn't that great. They're bottom third of the NFL in yards and points allowed. So if Green Bay doesn't turn the ball over, they win this football game. And so I am going with the Packers Saturday night. I'm going with the Packers, and I'm going with a 24-20 kind of ball game. It's going to be close. I think you've got McManus now, who looks to have everything straightened out because he's consistently kicking the ball right through the uprights. And so I think you're going to get probably a late field goal from McManus to put this game out of reach and win the game for the Packers.
All right, I like it. Hey, we appreciate the time as always, sir. You enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll catch up with you again soon.
All right, brother. Take care, man.
You got it. There you go. There's Joe DeGuano joining us here this morning. We got to take a quick break and play a little catch-up, so we'll do that right now. We'll be back after these few words. we still got a couple days left for our AJM Automotive free plow giveaway. So essentially, if you're missing out on this, if you missed out on this a little bit earlier, AGM Automotive, our good friends over there, John and such, they wanna help out. They're donating a free, for the rest of the season to plow out somebody's driveway and such, and they're looking for a coach or somebody who volunteers a lot of their times to a program and such. So hit me up with an email. I've gotten a few of them already. But hit me up with an email or shoot me a message on Facebook saying, hey, you know what? This person deserves to get their driveway plowed out for the rest of this winter season because they do this. They dedicate their time. They volunteer their time and such. So got a couple days. Opening it up for the rest of this week. Would like to announce the recipient next week. So a big thanks to the fine folks at AJM Automotive for doing that. I mean, AJM Automotive Service, whether it's you got to bring in your vehicle, which I did last Friday, for work done, brake, oil changes, tires. You need to tires. My new tires on there, they look sweet. And the thing is, with AJM Automotive, if you get new tires over there, you get the free rotations every time you bring it on over there. So tires, they offer the snow plowing services as well. So they do a bunch of different things. And with the tricky weather, sometimes you might need a tow. They offer that too. What doesn't AJM Automotive do is probably the better question. So give them a call for anything or keep this number in your cellular phone device, 715-835-9523. That's 715-835-9523. I do have to take a little bit of a quick break here again just to play a little bit of a catch up, but send me your wild card top. It's a wild card Wednesday, so I'm putting the topic in your hands. All right, I'm putting the topic in your hands. You got a good topic that you want to throw out to the rest of our armchair MVPs, our listeners out there? Send it on over. All right, text it to me on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line 715-830-1912. Or hit me up on the YouTube stream. Also, it's a Mike's Star Market. Am I wrong? Give me your bold sports opinions. Give me your bold sports takes. I'll tell you my am I wrong take coming up after this very quick, very short break. I know I said I was going to do my ASAP used auto parts. Am I wrong statements coming up here. I'm going to save it actually just for the top of the hour. So I have a little bit more time. Just a little bit more time. So kind of reset something that we were talking about in the first hour when we were talking a little green and gold, though, to get more of your opinions, your thoughts on it. But which side of the football for the Packers, and let's kind of maybe focus on just this game against Chicago. Which side of the football do you maybe have a little bit more faith in, maybe a little bit more trust in for this game? Obviously, defense, no Micah Parsons. That's a big one, right? Offensively, okay. From all accounts, Watson's not done for the year. Josh Jacobs is banged up. Zach Tom's banged up. They're not done for the year, but they're banged up. So, with this game against Chicago, which group, which side of the ball do you have the most trust in, most faith in? Maybe it's just by the slimmest of margins, by the skin of your teeth. But if you had to pick, like, you know what? If Green Bay's going to win this game, it's going to be because of maybe that side of the ball, because I have more trust, more faith, if you will, in that side. Hit me up with your pick, all right? And then if you haven't chimed in yet, or maybe you did vote, but you want to give me why you voted for this person, but on our 715 Speaks poll question brought to you by Post Glass and Mirror, we posted it up last night. With no more Micah Parsons, who needs to be that defensive game changer, that playmaker for this group? Right now, it's not even close. 60% going with Rashawn Gary. If I changed it a little bit and said, who needs to, if I said, who is it going to be? So really, who do you maybe have more confidence in? Does that change your pick? Maybe you're like, it has to be Rashawn Gary, but I think it's going to be Edgerrin Cooper. Does it change at all for you? Because I would agree. I think, yeah, it's got to be Rashawn Gary, but I could see it being a guy like Edgerrin Cooper. So if we kind of changed the wording a little bit, if we changed the phrasing a little bit, would that change your pick too? And give you why. Give me a reason. Back up or show your work, as teachers like to say. Show me your work. Give me a reason why you picked who you picked if you voted on the poll question. All right. We are approaching halftime. We've got that shot clock ticking off right about now. 2 in, 2 more to go. Continue to send me your topics for this Wild Card Wednesday. We'll talk some more hoops coming up a little bit later on. Also, the latest in MLB trade, free agency rumors, the hot stove season. We'll hit that up coming up next hour as well. All right, here we go. The third hour kicks off right now. Thanks for hanging out with us here this morning, depending on where you're at, what you're doing here. We appreciate it. If you're listening on those radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, maybe online at sportstalk1051.com. The app, download it, take it on the go. Wisco Sports app. You've got the video stream, YouTube's over there as well. So Alexa devices, you got that available. Multiple different ways for you to be tuning in. That Shoe Doctor's bullpen line is up if you want to hit us up with some texts and such. 715-830-1912. We're going to get to some MLB trade rumors, free agency rumors. It is the hot stove season right now. We'll go through some of the latest surrounding the Major League Baseball world. Not really anything in terms of the Brewers, which probably isn't a big surprise out there, but we still got some big names out there, like an Alex Bregman and such. Where are they going to go? What are some of the latest rumblings in that? Could it affect the division that the Brewers play in, the NL Central? We'll hit that up coming up here in just a little bit. We'll get back to some more football talk. The Packers have a huge list of injured players that didn't practice yesterday, but they, based off estimations, no surprise, it was huge. It was huge, and it shouldn't surprise anybody out there. So we'll get to that coming up here in just a little bit. But it is also a Wild Card Wednesday, so if you have a topic at hand that you want to throw out to get other listeners' thoughts, or you read something or you heard something, you're like, you know what, that'd be a good topic or a fun topic to hit up. What would it be? What would it be? So hit me up. Going back, John said, if you could pick somebody, let me bring up what John said, because this was a little bit ago, and I needed some time to think about it. John said his wild card question is, if you could take any athlete that's not in the NFL right now and put them on this Packers roster to start Saturday night against the Bears, who would it be and what position would they play? Now, if he was younger, I would say LeBron James. But he's not. So, you know what? If we did kind of just like an... I went through a list because I just kind of needed some help. Like, I don't think I could go Zion Williamson. I know he's a big dude and such. I might go like a little Aaron Gordon athlete, bigger guy, 6'8", 240. Because I had to look up some NBA players just to kind of get a little bit of an idea in that. So I might go like an Aaron Gordon. Another name I kind of thought about was, straight up athlete. So like Aaron Gordon, I'd go at tight end. The other guy I was thinking about was Anthony Edwards. I don't know where I'd put him. Could he play like corner? Could he play corner? Maybe help out a little bit. I think he played, let me Google it here. So he did play, he played defensive back and wide receiver in high school. So, okay. I mean, he's 6'4" in that. So, yeah, maybe like an Aaron Gordon at tight end or an Anthony Edwards at corner. That's probably my two picks. Again, I'd pick LeBron at tight end if he was younger and a little bit more in his prime. He's still an athletic freak and such, but I might go with the other two first. So, I'll throw it out to the rest of the peeps out there. Who do you got? Who would you pick? All right, you can text it on over, and I'll relay the answers to John if anybody wants to chime in on that. So, I'm probably missing a couple dudes, and I'm blanking on there. Anthony Edwards would intrigue me. Maybe kind of be a little like a Travis Hunter-esque. Maybe he could play a little wide out and play a little defensive back. Maybe a little Dion-esque too. I'm trying to think of like a baseball player that could go out there and do it. I mean, because we've seen baseball players too. Like, who's the Bo Jackson? Who's the Kyler Murray? You know, that whole situation too. There's got to be somebody from baseball, right? I mean, because baseball and football are the ones where we've seen people at least talk about it. Who would it be? It's got to be like a center fielder. Could like a Pete Crow Armstrong or something like that play corner? I don't know. Like, who's that center fielder that could roam and just, you know, where fly balls go to die? I got to think about some baseball players. I instantly go to NBA because, I mean, size and speed and stuff. Could you imagine, like, prime Shaq, though? Like, I'm talking Orlando Magic, early 90s Shaq with that physique of a 300-pound, 7'1" dude who could just run up and down. That would be an amazing tight end to have. Just feed him the rock every single time. If we could go back, what if we expanded upon this and said anybody during their prime, I'd put Shaq on my short list for a tight end, Orlando Magic version of Shaq. Then, yeah, you throw LeBron in there too. Yeah. Who'd be like a really good speedy guy? Like a scat back or a kind of a slot receiver. Who could that be? Maybe who's think about like a stolen bases guy in baseball to play that type of position. Maybe like a kick returner or punt returner or something. All right, now I'm getting too far into the weeds here. So, but you can hit me up with some picks if you'd like, if you want to have a little fun conversation with that. So, Mark says offense has to carry the team. Without Parsons, there won't be a pass rush, which gives teams time to throw. Gary has 7.5 sacks, but those came when Parsons was being double teamed 67% in the first half of the season. Since then, no sacks, so now they can double team Gary. He'll continue to get. So, yeah, offense has carried, but is that who you trust the most is the question. Is that who you trust the most? Which side do you trust the most? Texter says Sal Frelick. I think Sal Frelick, wasn't he like a Massachusetts high school quarterback of the year or something like that? So I think he was like a dual threat quarterback in high school. Let me see if I can find that. Like Sal Frelick, he doesn't have the height. I mean, he's pretty small, so I don't know if he could. Yeah, he was the Massachusetts Gatorade Player of the Year, known for his passing and rushing ability. Where would you put Sal Frelick on this ball club and start Saturday? That's the thing. I think Sal Frelick is the greatest player of all time, but I don't know where I'd put him. I'm kidding. You guys know me. I'm a huge Sal Frelick fan. Okay. Keep those picks coming. Let's do a little bit of a ASAP Used Auto Parts. Am I wrong? Again, if you're not familiar with this, give me your picks or your sports opinion, your sports banter that you would kind of end with, am I wrong? You know, for example, I'm not saying this is mine, but like say, am I wrong for thinking that the only way for the Packers to make the playoffs is that Jordan Love has to play out of his mind or something like that? Am I wrong? You know, something like that. It could be like that. It could be a little bit more in-depth at this point. So I know you all got them. I know you all got a sports take or a sports opinion that maybe isn't the most popular, or maybe you're in the minority, or maybe it's a bold take. So send them on over. All right, send them on over. But I guess for mine is, am I wrong for wanting, you know, kind of looking at all these Bucs rumors as of late? Am I wrong for really wanting this stuff to happen? Like, I want the Bucs to go out there and get a Zach LaVine. Like, I want them to go out there and go as this rival general manager, according to Jake Fisher, is saying, you know, big game hunting. Am I wrong for like pounding the table and saying this has got to happen? You have to do this. Am I wrong for saying this is a must? You have to figure out what to do to add something to Giannis. As frustrating and as annoying as I'm getting about, the Giannis trade rumors and wanting Giannis to go out there and say whatever's on his mind, like what does he want? I want him to stay, though. So am I wrong for saying, John Horst, you got to go out there and do something and go get a Zach LaVine or an Andrew Wiggins or a Jeremy Grant? You've got to come away with somebody like that. You have to. And if not, there's got to be, you look at Doc Rivers, you look at John Horst, I'm sorry, but the NBA is a what have you done for me lately league. More so than maybe a lot of other leagues. NHL is probably right up there too. And I know he just signed an extension and the ownership group loves him, but the team that you put together this year that you thought could compete for a championship is not working. And it was a risky proposition to build a team this way because you were relying a lot on Giannis staying healthy. And that hasn't happened. So you got to go to like plan K, plan L, wherever you're at. And am I wrong for saying let's just screw it and sacrifice a little bit more of your future, pay the piper later on down the road, and try to get one of these dudes? I wouldn't mind that. Am I wrong for thinking that? Am I wrong for wanting that to happen? As long as the Greek Freak is there, as long as Giannis is suiting up with a Milwaukee Bucks uniform, do whatever it takes. As much as it's annoying me with the rumors and the rumblings about whether Giannis is actually wanting out and or if he's frustrated, but I mean, we've talked about it at depth. I still want him there because it makes the Bucks relevant. If he's gone, the Bucks are not relevant. Nobody cares. Nobody talks about them. They're probably going to be one of the worst teams in the Eastern Conference and in the NBA. Giannis makes them relevant. And I want that for as long as possible. They're already in a hole, and they can't get out of it anytime soon. So you might as well just dig the hole deeper at this point. Why not? It's kind of like, the analogy I'll put. It's like a quarterback saying, screw it, so-and-so's down there. Just throw it down there. So-and-so's down there. Screw it. Just dig your hole a little bit deeper at this point. What do you have to lose? This is a cool little nugget in history. And this is a fantastic video. This was 1972. So this is such a fantastic video. 1972, December 17th, Packers 49ers. It looked like it was, a blocked field goal. The 49ers blocked a Packers field goal. This video is like crispy. Wow, for this. Anyways, the 49ers blocked a Packers field goal. Packers picked it up. The holder picked it up, and he threw it to Ray Nitschke. And Ray Nitschke is scrambling down those sidelines. His only career reception in his 190th and final regular season game. It was a 34-yard catch and run. That is awesome. Gosh, I love some good old sports history. Man, the way he's running and following his blocks as such, Lombardi might have had to figure out ways to get him involved on the offensive side. Holy moly, that is a sweet video. I just reposted it on my Twitter. That's sweet. All right, we'll take a quick break. Got a few texts to catch up on as well, so we'll do that. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. When it comes to updating your flooring game, there's nobody better than a Carpet City Flooring Center right here in Eau Claire. They are Wisconsin's premier flooring store. So if you are in the need to update maybe the flooring in your living room, maybe the tile in the bathroom, man cave needs some updating, don't matter the space. I mean, they've done studios, they've done man caves, they've done mobile man caves for crying out loud too. So they can help you out. Just stop by their store, talk with the amazing team. If you're not sure where to start, what would work within your budget, or maybe even your space, like what would function the best in your space, the entire team at Carpet City Flooring Center is there to help you. Located at 3109 East Hamilton Avenue in Eau Claire. So hot stove season's going on right now in Major League. Well, first of all, we got a couple people saying the first texter said who nominated Sal Frelick said punt returner. Lance goes Sal Frelick could play safety, fast and fearless Frelick. You know, that is a good point. I know he's like 5'8" or whatever height he is, but I had to look this up. Honey Badgers, Tyrann Mathieu was only 5'9". He was a pretty good safety back during his prime and such. Sal Frelick, we know he's got some hops. We know he can catch the football. He'd be a nice little weapon. All right, I'll get on board with the Sal Frelick one. You guys convince me. I like it. Sal, what are you doing right now? All right, you can't wear your number 10, but we'll hook you up. What are you doing right now? Speaking of baseball, though, with the hot stove season going on, not really anything going out there for the Brewers, at least what's public and thrown out there. But maybe some things to monitor if you're just kind of paying attention to the division. If you're a Brewers fan, NL Central, right? Well, going through some of the latest rumors at MLB.com, John Heyman, MLB Network insider, had this to say that Alex Bregman, Cubs and Red Sox have been the teams most strongly linked to Bregman so far this offseason. But there is a wild card in this, and that could be Arizona. So Bregman is said to be Boston's number one target, while Chicago reportedly had a video meeting with Bregman earlier in the offseason. This is what confuses me a little bit when it comes to baseball stuff at times. But so you got the Diamondbacks, who it sure sounds like Marte is going to be traded, their second baseman. I mean, his name's all over the place as a potential trade target for a lot of teams. You know, even some of their pitchers and such. And obviously they have a opening at third base from Suarez last year, right? So if you trade Marte, but then you bring in Bregman, it's like, what? Maybe you want both, right? Wouldn't you want both of them on there? And then there was some talk about them potentially as a suitor for like a Freddie Peralta in that. So maybe the Diamondbacks again, this is where I get nervous. I should say nervous, skeptical, cautious. There we go. Cautious. I get a little cautious on some of these rumors, not just baseball, but especially like football. Whenever we hear rumors and they come from insiders, just always keep it in the back of your mind. Where or who are their sources? Where are they getting their info from? And if it's from agents, especially if it's an agent for that player, could be just to spark up a little bit more interest and a little bit more talk to try to up that value, to try to up that dollar amount. Again, I go back to what Andrew Brandt used to work for the Packers, their salary cap guy, and he will mention this almost multiple times every single year, especially when it comes to NFL free agency. You know, teams or agents would reach out to him and say, hey, can we mention the Packers are interested in our client just to up the value? And as Andrew said, yeah, if it is going to make our competitors pay more, sure, especially if it's not a player they're interested in or no interest in bringing in. I think there's a lot of that goes around. And I think a lot of it comes from these, not all of them, but always just kind of have that maybe in the back of your mind when you see some of these reports or you see some of these rumors that it could just be something to the effect of, hey, let's get the conversation out there a little bit more. Let's draw a little bit more attention and maybe get some of these other teams a little bit more antsy to where, yeah, they're going to spend a little bit. They're going to spend a little bit of extra cash for my client. Not saying that the Diamondbacks wouldn't be interested in Alex Bregman and such, but I'm just saying, I was like, well, that's kind of an interesting one. You know, and we've been so used to over the years with when it came to like a team like the Packers or even like the Brewers. You know, the Brewers could be an example of this. Remember the Manny Machado rumors that the Brewers were interested in him? Remember that stuff? Now, I don't know if they exactly were in that, but it's like, what? Was the Brewers kind of being a team that was like just used as a pawn, as a chess piece? Hey, so-and-so, you don't make a move for this guy, he's going to go that way. You know, agents have a lot more sway and pull that I think a lot of us realize. You know, especially in determining where a player may get traded and moved to. So, but again, just kind of really, really, really quiet at this point with the Brewers after, of course, that move over the weekend. And somebody, again, was asking me the other day, you know, am I buying? Do I like the move from what the Brewers did over this weekend? And I'm fine with it as long as it's not the only move. I still want them to add a power bat to put in the middle of that lineup. I want them to do that. I don't think it's going to come. I shouldn't say. Is it going to come free agency? Who are some of the guys left? MLB free agent list. Who's still available? That could be a guy. That could be a corner. Now, Alex Bregman to the Brewers, probably not happening. I still think Ryan O'Hearn would be a great fit for the Brewers. He could play some first base, can play some outfield for you. I think that would be a good one. I like that one. He's 32 years old. You know, Paul Goldschmidt's 38. You're talking about a 4.6 WAR. I would be all about Ryan O'Hearn. If we found out today, this week, that the Brewers brought him in, I'd be excited about that. I think that's just a great, great fit. Third baseman, again, Bregman's up there. He's a big one. You got Suarez, 34 years old. Boy, that would be an interesting one, wouldn't it? You haven't really heard his name. So I just looked up. Let me just kind of looking. Would he? Oh, can you imagine if he went to the Cubbies? Oh man, I'm seeing his name mentioned as possible for like the Pirates and that. Really? Wow. Okay. The Pirates have been mentioned a few times so far this hot stove season. That just kind of makes you like, the Pirates are actually going to do it. I mean, why wouldn't the Pirates do it? You've got Paul Skeens on there. Paul Skeens is going to make bank, and eventually he is probably going to leave Pittsburgh. But for crying out loud, if you're finally saying now we go all in because we have Paul Skeens, what were you doing last year? So Pirates should go for it, but I just think there's probably still a lot of skepticism surrounding that. So Suarez is probably going to cost a boatload of cash. Looking at center fielders, Harrison Bader's a 4.4. Cody Bellinger's the one out there. Again, I don't think the Brewers are going to go outfielder. I think they're going to try with Garrett Mitchell again. You got Marcelo Ozuna, 35. I just don't see them being big spenders for Suarez. So Ryan O'Hearn, I'll go with him. That's still my guy. That's who I still want the Brewers to go after. But has there been any talk about him? About some rumors? Ryan O'Hearn. What do we got here for some rumors? Not really. So, all right. We'll take a quick break. Continue to send me your wild card stuff, all right? Wild Card Wednesday. What's a good topic? Got a couple that we might hit up here, but if you got any suggestions, text them on over. Still looking for that perfect gift for that hunter in your life? Time's running out, but you still got a little bit of time. Make sure you go visit our good friends at Tilden Gun. Shopping at Tilden Gun is super simple. Their knowledgeable staff can help you pick the right firearm or accessory, and their selection is second to none. So go check them out today. Sean and Hunter, amazing, awesome people to work with. Check out their shop, 12427 98th Avenue in Chippewa Falls. 12427 98th Avenue, Chippewa Falls. So I got a wild card topic somebody had sent over, and I did see this on Instagram. I think it was on Instagram yesterday, or maybe it was social media the other day. But essentially it was booziest NFL fan bases, heavy drinkers by team. Percent of each team's surveyed, fan base reporting. So essentially 5 or more drinks on game day. This is from Action Network. And I call bull on this. The Packers were dead last. You're telling me Packers fans are dead last in terms of booziest NFL fan bases? Now, I'll be honest. I didn't look too much into it because some of this stuff is just, it's completely inaccurate and that. Was this for drinks during the game, like in the stadium, or just whenever on game day? Because if it's whenever on game day, this is completely false. I mean, completely false. Tailgating and such. But even in the game, no. Anybody who's been to Lambeau, for crying out loud. The Cardinals, 18.5%, were number one. And the Packers were dead last at 3.2%. So percentage of each team's surveyed fan base reporting 5 or more drinks on game day. Bull roar. I'm calling bull spit. Bills were number 2. Okay. I get that. Bills Mafia. But some of the, Cardinals maybe because, your team's awful and you just got to get through the game in that. But, so Packers were worse. Seahawks were above them. Steelers, Dolphins, Patriots, Chiefs, even the Bears at 7%. I don't know about that. I feel like they should be higher. There's no way, though. If we look at the division at hand, the Vikings would have been the highest, 9.6. Lions, 7.4. Bears, 7. Green Bay, no. Unacceptable. That is, whoever did that. And the conspiracy theory in me, how accurate is that? Just so they can throw that graphic out there saying, hey, we're going to put the Packers at last because we know people are going to be in an uproar about it and they're going to talk about it. And that's what it all generates is talk, and that. Because what we're doing, we're talking about that right now. But I call that complete bull. But it reminds me of an idea that I still want to do one of these days. It's never probably going to happen because don't have the funds and availability to do that. I want to visit different fan bases' tailgates on game days. I want to go check out a Kansas City Chiefs tailgate party. I want to go check out, I guess, an Arizona Cardinals tailgate party. I want to go check out all these different tailgate parties. Like the Food Network has where you could go all these different, food spots and check it out and try all this different. I want to go to different tailgate parties. College, pro, football, basketball, baseball, it doesn't matter. We got to do our own little version of a tailgate party. Or a tailgate tour, excuse me. Because, no. I'm obviously well-versed in the tailgate culture of Green Bay and the Brewers and that. But I am not well-versed into the Chargers tailgate scene where they are a top 10 team on this thing. And maybe I got to experience it. But, man, if I had, we had like a big-time sponsor for that. It's like, okay, go hop on a bus and, we're going to create you your own, like, Madden bus and tour all these tailgates. Sign me up, baby. I'm all about it. That's bull. There you go. That's another am I wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Am I wrong for saying this is bull at the pack? Whatever. It's a stupid graphic that has no reason to get all wound up about. So, another topic for our Wild Card Wednesday that was thrown out there was, where did it go? Because it came in a little bit earlier. Was it on our texting line? Let me scroll through it here quick. All right, yeah. Jeff said, if the Bucks do in fact trade Giannis and start the reset, how long do you think the Bucks will be in reset mode? That's really hard to kind of gauge. That's really tough. It'll be a while. I think if the Bucks do decide, or Giannis really forces his way, whatever the case may be, if it is going to ever be that time, it's going to be a few years. Because you might as well reset everything. You might as well reset your financial contracts. You might as well try to, accumulate some of your picks back. It's going to take a few years. So, the other one too that I know we hit it up a little bit in the first hour, but somebody texted in, is Marshawn Lloyd's Packers career over with? This guy, first of all, I feel awful for him. I don't know what's going on with that hamstring. I don't know if it's the same hamstring, but he's got to ask Santa for a new hamstring. Write that letter quick. Go to our website for the Santa Tracker where you can chat with Santa. But Marshawn Lloyd's got to go and ask Santa for a new hamstring. How many is this now? And it's happening in practice. I feel bad for the guy, but then it's like, you're Goody. You're the Packers front office and the coaching staff. Heading into the offseason, you have to make a decision when it comes to your backup running backs now. Because Marshawn Lloyd, there was the expectation, okay, this is going to be kind of a different type of playmaker. He was coming out of the draft. There was some talk, is he the best running back coming out of the draft? His ability to make that one cut and just hit the hole in that. Can't stay healthy. I don't know if they got to send him to Madison like they did with Watson a couple years ago to figure out that hamstring, but for crying out loud, what is it? What is it? I'm going to have to save this for Dr. Crow on Friday, but the fact that it's happening in practices too, is it how he's preparing? Is it, oh man, I don't know. There's got to be something. They got to figure out something with him. But I guess to the question, is his Packers career done? I don't know if I'll say done, but I'll throw this out there. I think next offseason, training camp, he's going to be battling for a spot. I think Green Bay's going to maybe look at the draft and maybe add another running back in the draft, and I think Lloyd's going to be on the hot seat next year. Sure could use him right now, considering the health of some of our running backs. Man. All right, we got to take a quick break, and then we'll wrap up the third hour coming up after these quick words. Make your holidays merry and bright with a trip to Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. From fresh holiday hams and turkeys to seasonal produce, bakery treats, and all your favorite pantry staples, Hy-Vee has everything you need for festive meals and gatherings. Their friendly staff is ready to help you find the perfect ingredients and weekly specials, making holiday shopping easy on your budget. Hy-Vee, bringing freshness, value, and holiday cheer to your kitchen this season. Continue to, we got a couple, am I wrong? So, yeah, let's go through that. So, if you got any more ASAP Used Auto Parts, am I wrongs for this morning, please continue to send those on over. Am I wrong for thinking that the Brewers will not be bringing in a power bat and run with the same exact offensive lineup they finished the season off last year? Except for Garrett Mitchell being the starting center fielder. That's from Dave on our texting line. I don't think you're wrong. I just hope that's not the case. You know what I mean? Like, I hope, first of all, I hope Garrett Mitchell can stay healthy, and I hope that Garrett Mitchell can be a contributor to this team. But how much do you count on that again this year? How much can you count on that happening again this year? Like, I'm trying to. I don't know what would the reaction be like from Brewers fans if the Brewers came back with the exact same offensive lineup as last year. Like the frustration level. I feel like the frustration level would be pretty high, but then I also feel like it would be, we're not surprised. We're upset, but we're not surprised. We're annoyed, but what else did we expect? It's the same song and dance. And yeah, it does put a lot more pressure on Pat Murphy to continue to do the job that he has been doing. It puts a lot more pressure on the guys on that roster to up their games for another year. But no, I wouldn't say you're wrong. I just hope you're wrong. Maybe that's the best way to say it. Am I wrong? This is from Ben. Am I wrong for thinking that the Bucks are going to surprise a lot of people this season and trade for not one but two big name players before the trade deadline? So, okay. Now, big name players, obviously we're not talking about, like, I'm just going to throw names out there. Steph Curry, Anthony Edwards, those type of names. We're not talking about that. But if we're talking about the Andrew Wiggins, the Zach LaVines, the Marcus Smarts, the Grants, the Jeremy Grants, two of those, I just don't see how that's possible considering what the Bucks have left. So if we're picking somebody from that group, now let me do some really quick digging. What's Marcus Smart's contract? Because Marcus Smart was a name that was mentioned. Okay, so Marcus Smart does not have a big cap hit. He only signed a 2-year, $10.5 million contract with the Lakers. Okay, what's his playing time like this year? Because the Lakers are, they're a good team. He's averaging 10 points per game. What's his minutes been like? So he's about 24 minutes. Again, that's tricky because of where the Lakers are at and such. So, okay, but I'll say this. I won't say you're wrong if it's like Zach LaVine and Marcus Smart or Grant and Marcus Smart. But if it's LaVine and Grant or Andrew Wiggins and LaVine or Grant and Andrew, that ain't happening. But maybe Marcus Smart and one of those other guys, okay. Still think the odds are very rare and very small from happening. But that one is more likely to happen than saying, a LaVine and a Grant or a Wiggins and a Grant or a Wiggins and a LaVine or a Murray and a LaVine. That's where I would say. So we got another Am I Wrong? Am I wrong for thinking that the Green Bay's offense is going to explode and come out extremely motivated on Saturday night and the Packers will have a comfortable win against a overconfident Chicago Bears team. Well, that's from Chris. I hope you're not wrong. For this sake, I'm gonna have to say you are wrong because I don't see that happening. But I hope you're not wrong. Boy, that would just be nice. You know, that Green Bay's offense, that Jordan Love just goes out there and, I mean, dime after dime, great catch after great catch, great throw, boom, boom, boom. Every drive you're putting up touchdowns and such. And it kind of goes to maybe this one that we got earlier from Mike says, am I wrong? But I think this Packers-Bears game is going to be an offensive shootout. I could definitely see it. I could definitely see this being an offensive shootout. It might have to be a game where it's punch for punch. You got to go out there, and it's going to be, maybe like a Lions and Rams-esque type of game. It's just, remember the Bears and Bengals game earlier in the season? That shootout? Maybe something similar to that. I'd have to say you're not wrong. And maybe on this Wednesday, we got a couple days yet, but I could definitely see that this is going to be an offensive shootout type of game. Puts a lot of pressure on Jordan Love in that offense. You got to win those early downs. I think that's going to be a big part of it. Got to win those early downs. Got to take control. And I think part of it, too, is winning that time of possession. I think both these squads want to be able to have long, sustained drives, 8, 9 minutes, 10-plus plays that come away with touchdowns, keeping the opposing offense on the sideline. I think both these teams want to be able to accomplish that on the offensive side. I think that's going to be a big goal for them. What team is able to do that, I think, is going to be a big factor in the winning team of this game. And a lot of that's going to be dependent on who wins on first down, who wins on the early downs. Because I think both these teams, if you're in a third and short situation, you're going to like your odds probably. So if you can have that early success, especially on first down, where you pick up, let's say, 5 yards or something like that, and you're putting yourself in a 2nd and 5 or a 2nd and 6, 2nd and 4, where it's not a 2nd and 10, where it might be like an obvious passing situation. Got to win on those early downs. I think that's going to be key for both these. And whatever defense can stop that is going to be huge. Absolutely huge. So, all right, continue to send those on over, all right? Text them to me, Sports Talk 105, or text me to you at 715-830-1912. I was going to give you the website. I guess you could do that too. Just head up to the video stream. Video stream links over there, or the texting line number is up there too. So, all right, 3/4 in, 3 hours in. We got one more to go, peeps. We'll be back after these news updates. All right, final hour kicking off right now on this Wednesday morning, making the turn Wednesday. Thanks for hanging out with us all morning long. Don't forget, you can always join in on the convo by hitting us up with those texts, with those comments on the stream and such. So continue to do that. Just a heads up, too, if you do hear some noise in the background, it's because our friends from Hovland's are working on some of the air stuff for the studio. So just throwing that out there, too. And speaking of Hovland's, I know we got some winter weather that's coming up here. Not sure if that would affect any closings or delays, but it is a good reminder to always stay tuned to our website, sportstalk1051.com, for the WEAU 13 News First Alert School Closings that are brought to you by Hovland's and ServiceMaster. So always stay tuned to that. And right below that is something that we mentioned a little bit earlier. But for the kiddos, you got the Santa tracker up there. So when it's that day, next week, you can start to track where Santa's at for the kiddos. Beforehand, you can chat with Santa. You can chat with Mrs. Claus. You can do some coloring. There's some Christmas music, all that stuff over there. So big thanks to Eau Claire Event District and American Drone for helping bring that to everybody out there. We'll get back to some more of your texts and such. Talking a little NBA a little bit earlier, especially with the latest trade rumors and such. But Commissioner Adam Silver made a comment the other day saying expansion is going to be decided in 2026, which means Vegas and Seattle, it sounds like, are the two at the forefront. Luke, at this point, do you think it's just inevitable it's going to happen in the NBA, that they're going to expand, or still skeptic?
I'm more skeptical. I'm not sure it's going to happen. Because that quote referenced the thing that we've been hearing. Remember when, what was it, a few months ago, there was this whole, wait a minute, maybe he doesn't want to expand. Maybe it's all Europe. And he made the point of teams are going to go from 1/30th to 1/32nd of the total revenue. You might go, so a bunch of billionaires missing a few extra $1 million. Ooh, well, they care about that stuff. An extra few $1 million. They're like, nope, don't want that. They want to make as much money, not lose any money. I really think there's a chance that the owners ultimately vote it down. And I'd say probably about the cynic in me is almost thinking it's going to be a majority. I think it's 60-40 that we have expansion. It's made so much sense, and I mean, I know the Seattle factor isn't the ultimate factor for owners to go, we need to do Seattle right. Screwed them over back in 2008, and so now we'll give them their Supersonics back. That's not how they think. Again, they're thinking, what will make us the most amount of money? Really? For the owners? They're going to make the most amount of money having an NBA Europe or some equivalent of that, not having the Seattle Supersonics back. And leverage for eventually teams wanting new arenas will have to come into play at some point. Well, it doesn't have to, but they wanted to. And so nothing like having Seattle floating out there. So when Alex Rodriguez goes to the Minnesota legislature to say, hey, we need you to pay for the replacement for Target Center, you could say, yeah, but we could turn Anthony Edwards and your soon-to-be champion Timberwolves up. You won't get a championship. We're going to move them to Seattle because they're not getting a team. And there's your leverage. Or Vegas. I don't think so, though. I think ultimately Vegas makes so much sense. Seattle makes so much sense that ultimately does happen. And I guess the other option here is you don't expand in the States. And this is the one where like from that Simmons podcast where they were talking with Zach after the summer meetings, we're talking with Zach Lowe, and Lowe had said there's no indication of any team wanting to move. But Simmons had mentioned like the team that makes the most amount of sense to move would be the Pelicans. Ironic given all the connections to Seattle. That team isn't doing that well. Doesn't seem to have much of a fan base. Arena's kind of whatever. So maybe you move them, and maybe you find some other team at some point that's kind of spinning its wheels and move them, and then don't go back to New Orleans and don't go back to that other place, whatever that is. But ultimately, I think they do expand, But a year ago, it was a stone cold lock. I don't think it's a lock, but I think they're going to ultimately do it. But yeah, I'm still hesitating. Well, I mean, do you think they're going to do it based on all this NBA Europe thing?
I eventually think they're going to. I mean, they're the only major franchise that's not in Vegas right now. NFL, baseball will be, NHL. I think eventually they're going, and then you're going to have to add another one to make it all even.
Culturally, and I'd say that's not a pejorative. Culturally, it seems to make the most amount of sense to have an NBA team in Las Vegas,
Right.
and especially given that now Adam Silver's talking about moving the NBA Cup championship to other cities. Does going to, say, like Cameron Indoor Stadium seem to make sense for an NBA Cup as an example, or Williams Arena? I'm trying to think of like classic or older venues. I don't know. Like if you're going to have something like the NBA Cup, I think you'd want to have that either in the home arena of a given team or in a place that's a destination people will want to go beyond, like the super hardcore junkies, and that's not enough to create an atmosphere. So if you do move that out of Vegas, then what are we doing other than All-Star games, unless you do the All-Star games always in Vegas, and they kind of want to move those around? Yeah, I think you want to have a team in Vegas.
Yeah, I would think so, at least. I mean, especially if you are the last major league, major sports league to not have one in there.
Right.
And by all accounts, it's working for the other leagues, right?
Very well.
So.
I mean, and
we don't know about baseball yet, but
yeah.
I mean,
the Golden Knights, it's a super success. For the Raiders, I mean, you figure that gets weird with the transient population, and that's going to be a thing with the Athletics. Obviously, that's the one where you're like, how many A's fans are really going to be in the stands? That could be the baseball LA Chargers. I'm wary.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, do you have more than 6 fans here, maybe? And everyone else is a road team fan.
Do they care, though, when it's just the same amount of money?
No.
Money doesn't care what gets spent by them, right?
Same thing, right. It's just like what we're saying about expansion. Ultimately, what brings in the biggest net? John Fisher is going to probably sell us for an incredible amount of money at some point. Yeah, he just cares about income on that. Basketball will probably be different, though, being an expansion team, similar to the Golden Knights. You're not bringing an existing team over, doesn't have a strong fan base. Raiders have a strong one, but it's its own dynamic. I want to say, though, was it the Raiders-Broncos game a few weeks ago? Looking at some of the highlights, and there was a lot of orange in the stands. And that's nothing new with the Raiders in Vegas having a lot of opposing teams, but dang, that was like, come on. You really want one of your arch rivals to be dominating like that? Probably not.
Switching over to baseball and such, what was your reaction to find out that the Minnesota Wild owner, Craig Leopold, was, according to Michael Russo of The Athletic, one of 3 limited partner groups that got involved with the Minnesota Twins?
I am encouraged. I'm seeing the reaction online is encouraging. There's hope. For one, that there to put this to rest in case anyone thinks that they go, ooh, there's a Minnesota one. Does that mean they won't move? They're never moving. Okay. But Leopold's been a solid owner of the Wild. He's the second owner after I'm blanking on the name of the first one, but he's overall had a good tenure as Minnesota Wild owner. So he gets the community. He gets putting together a good fan product. It also means there are more sources of revenue that can go into the Twins to take care of the debt. There's a story in The Athletic from Aaron Gleeman is talking about, and because we're going to get a lot of information later today is when the announcement happens. We're not necessarily going to know all of the limited partners. Some are still going to be essentially under wraps, but we're going to know enough publicly, officially unveiled. But from what Gleeman was reporting yesterday, Leopold's part of this new third group that apparently there were enough other people that started to hear about, limited opportunities. Maybe I want to buy in. So structurally, it made more sense, I believe, to go, okay, we'll lock you in as group number 3. There's supposedly this Minnesota-based, was it like a credit group? It's one of them is like Venta Ventures. I got the name wrong, but it's something like that. There's a New York group apparently is one that might still stay under wraps. And now there's this third one involves Leopold. From what we're understanding, it'll make more sense later today. Maybe some of the facts, as we think it's going to be, when we'll ultimately know the facts later on. That means more money. That means a local connection with a better owner, even if it's not a controlling interest. It means the debt's going to go down.
Mm-hmm.
That's maybe the biggest takeaway, that there's enough interest with people that got finances. The Twins are going to wipe away a lot of that debt fast. Noticed, I don't know if you were picking up on this, and you're not a Twins fan, so I don't blame you if you didn't. But it seemed in the last week and a half, 2 weeks, suddenly the Twins are like, we could maybe start buying. And it sure seemed like they were on this trajectory towards, let's get rid of anybody who was making more than $1 million on the team. I'm being facetious, but it seemed like they were in trouble. And then suddenly they're like, maybe we're going to be buyers after all. I wonder if it was some common. It wasn't just like Craig Leopold gave a call and said, hey, I want to buy in. But it was maybe something of like, okay, once they got enough finalizations, the Pohlads go, oh, okay, this really is going to work. We can knock off this $500 million in debt pretty quickly. Well, okay, Derek Falvey, maybe you don't have to trade away everybody right now. Maybe you can try to make an acquisition. I'm not going to say the Josh Bell signing a few days
it's
ago.
like the difference maker.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, technically he had a positive WAR last year, and he's going to fill some spots on the team that's
It almost
good.
reminds me of the Brewers signing Andrew McCutchen sort of thing.
Kind of, yeah. The veteran presence out there. Oh, sure. I mean, he'll have some moments, I guess. But at a minimum, I guess it means that I don't think Byron Buxton gets traded. I don't think they trade Pablo Lopez and Joe Ryan. I would not be surprised if one of those goes. And as Gleeman's story pointed out, they've still got a really good farm system. So this is the sort of thing where a few years from now, the sources were unnamed in the quotes, so you wonder who's saying this. Is this Joe Pohlad saying this? And like, okay, fine. Probably not. But they're mentioning that everyone's looking long-term. Get past whatever labor stoppage might happen. Values are going to go way up by 28, 29. Maybe at that point, the Pohlads explore a sale. At the very least, the people buying in, they're not as concerned about a controlling interest anyway, because their value is going to go way up. They could turn a profit on this.
Mm-hmm.
If Leopold stays involved with this, I mean, it's a good portfolio diversification. You get all financial podcasts on us here, but that's kind of what that is. Maybe there's some more tie-in with, like I said, one of the more competent organizations around. Side note, it's kind of nice to see what the Minnesota Wild are like when they don't have $14 million in dead cap every single season. Hey, we could actually trade for one of the best players in the NHL. That's pretty cool. Okay, I'm maybe coming out of the dark here as a Twins fan, finally. We'll see more. We'll get more details today. And let's see what happens in the Hot Stove League over the offseason. We may still be in a not-so-great spot, but maybe the turnaround goes faster than expected.
Yeah. All right, we got to take a really quick break here, but we'll be back after these quick words. So we got 3 weeks left of the NFL season, and it kicks off tomorrow night with a big-time matchup between the Rams and Seahawks. Again, we have a lot of playoff clinching scenarios in play for this weekend, and especially on the NFC side of things, a lot of it depends on whether the Lions win or lose. If the Lions lose, you're going to see quite a few teams potentially clinch some spots this weekend. So go Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh. Got to do for that. But when we look at these races here, so we know the Rams have clinched a spot, but they haven't clinched a division yet. Seattle's got the same record as them. But you got the Rams at 11-3, Seattle's 11-3, San Francisco's 10-4. Obviously, Chicago Green Bay is a big time matchup. And then you look at Tampa Bay and Carolina, who are playing against each other this weekend too. They're tied. Tampa Bay holds the tiebreaker as of right now. You look at the AFC side of things, Buffalo with their comeback victory made things a little bit tighter going up against New England, who, they're up by just one game. You got the AFC South between Houston and Jacksonville. I guess you could still throw the Colts in there. Obviously, the AFC North with Pittsburgh and Baltimore, Denver and the Chargers and such. Which divisional race right now are you most intrigued following? No offense, because your team's now out of it and such. So I'm not picking on you. I'm just stating the facts.
They're out. They can't do anything right now. Yeah. I mean, the West, you get DVOA Bowl 2 this season. Both Rams Seahawks games have been a DVOA Bowl of the at that given moment, number 1 versus number 2 in DVOA. We get it again. Aaron Schatz points out it's even accounting for the Seahawks offense being meh of late. Okay, but the only asterisk on that one really, and this is where ultimately I may settle, like that's the at first blush that's the number one. But I think the AFC East is more interesting because I think it doesn't matter as much in the NFC West. If you look historically, again, this is another DVOA stat. It's given the Rams have not had a negative DVOA in a game this season. I think we're the only other two teams, and they have stats going back to 78. We're the 84 49ers and Washington in 91, which, if you know your NFL history, those are two of the best teams we've ever seen in the NFL, right up through Super Bowl domination, especially that 1984 49ers team. Rams, after reading that yesterday, as far as I'm concerned, the Rams are the prohibitive favorite to win the Super Bowl. Not just to go, they are the prohibitive favorite to win the Super Bowl. If they somehow end up as the 5 seed, they will find a way to get there if Seattle manages to leapfrog them. So that's why the AFC East, I think, is more interesting because of seeding, et cetera, et cetera. Patriots, still, the underlying metrics aren't that great. They're not bad, but they're a so-so team that went on a heck of a run. Buffalo is a comeback team, but how many times... Berman pointed this out on primetime the other day. Like, how many times can you fall behind and still come back? They've done it a lot, but I don't know if you can keep doing that, especially when you get to elimination time. That's where I wonder, does New England need to win the division to get a much better path? Because right now they're the 2 seed.
Yeah.
So right now they would play
Houston.
And it seems like a toss-up right now. But if they fell to number 5, potentially you're playing Jacksonville, beatable, or maybe Pittsburgh. I mean, I'm just making up a few of these, but you see where the path gets. I mean, you could make a case that maybe it's better for New England to fall out of the top spot just because your positioning is a little better. Maybe. I don't know. What about you?
I mean, I'm just looking at where the playoff machine is kind of currently at. So Denver is the top seed. New England would host Houston, which I'd be nervous on that one if I was a Patriots fan, the way Houston's playing, especially their defense right now. Buffalo would go to Jacksonville. I would pick Buffalo to win that game. Chargers would go to Pittsburgh. I probably would pick the Chargers to win that game too. So I see what you're saying there. Like Houston, I don't know if that would be the great matchup for New England. I don't know who I'd pick yet. I'm just saying, and then Houston's got some playoff experience too, the last couple of years, but that defense is playing some insanely good ball. I think, the division for me that I'm really keeping an eye on, I don't think it'll work this way, but it is the NFC West with the Rams, with Seattle. You got San Francisco just hanging around. I mean, they're technically not out of winning the division. So it's pretty. I look at that one as I mean, I'm just impressed. Mike Vrabel is going to he's going to be up there. Ben Johnson, those are going to be like your coach. Liam Cohen are probably going to be coach of the year candidates. And it pains me to say this because I'm not a 49ers fan, but I would say Kyle Shanahan deserves some talk about coach of the year because, us Packers fans, we're sitting here freaking out about the loss of Micah Parsons.
Mm-hmm.
The 49ers defense lost Nick Bosa and Fred Warner. They're sitting there at 10-4. And they also had to play Mac Jones for a couple of games. And they have not had Brandon Ayuk at all this year.
Mm-mm.
The job that 49ers team has done is, I think, flying under the radar.
They felt like they are probably not a playoff team based on what has happened to them. Like, but I guess they won again. Oh, those plucky 49ers. I know that sounds like I'm really understating them. But with all of the injuries they've had, like, I guess they got another win. I guess they got another win. And then suddenly you look up and go, wait a minute. They're 10-4?
Yeah.
This is like they're in the same realm of their dominant era. I mean, if you were to say who are the NFC teams of the last decade going back 10 years, it's the Eagles and the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
Arguably, the 49ers really are, even though the Eagles have 2 titles, the Niners don't have any. That the personnel, the adjustments to, I guess you could say next man up, throwing all the cliches there. But it's worked.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe the 49ers haven't had an opportunity to collapse. That's the knock on Shanahan. He can collapse and make some bad end-of-game decisions, but he hasn't been there yet. The Niners are steadily coming along. He won't win it. You're right. There are too many other newer ones that have done a great job. Vrabel is, I mean, not a surprise, but dang, that's been good.
I think the quick turnaround with that right away. I mean, you throw in, Mike McDonald in there too with the Seahawks.
Double-digit wins 2 years in a row for Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
Vrabel is the reason why I would, despite the lack of playoff experience for the Patriots, it's Vrabel alone that makes me go, that could account the other way. He's so good as a coach. Gosh, leaving Tennessee looks worse and worse all the time. That might be enough to get past a more experienced Houston Texans team, if let's presume that ends up being a matchup at some point.
Right.
So I mean, I probably would favor him, but the others you mentioned, like Cohen, for example, there are a lot of good options out there right now.
Yeah. I mean, there is. So it's going to be interesting. I think, not to get too far ahead, but when we talk about coaching races and such, there's some good options, I think, this year where it's not so, one-sided, I think, in the last couple of years that maybe we've seen.
Yeah.
A little bit. Like, who would you vote for right now?
Vrabel.
Yeah. And a few weeks ago, Shane Steichen's name might have been up there with the Colts.
Probably, yeah. I think they may just it's attrition. But then again, wait. So Indianapolis right now is in the play. Oh,
no, they're not.
No, they're not. No, I saw that wrong.
Yeah.
They're right outside. If they were to find their way back in, that counts more. And again, it's through the regular season, so you got 3 more games to prove it.
Yeah. And this is not a knock again, but I think, Ben Johnson, I think there was an expectation that there was going to be improvement. Mm-hmm. Like he went into talent-wise a decent situation, right? Whereas I think with the Patriots, they spent a lot of money. And the thing is what's probably just like freaking people out is they have more money next year to spend. Mm-hmm. And they're already playing this well.
They might have regenerated.
Yeah.
This is a bit, I mean, at the risk of going too much into the issues we really shouldn't care about, I think the Patriots would be a lot more likable, though, because you're not dealing with the whole Brady Belichick thing. I mean, they're like, are you really hating on Drake May that much?
I think it's too soon.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, it feels like a continuation, even though we've been through like a half decade of so-so.
And I think what
play.
Also probably does that is that Vrabel's a Patriot. He played for them and all that. He's a Patriot.
Well, and so the one thing where I could see Vrabel not winning is because of his success in Tennessee, the thought of, we know he's that good, versus Ben Johnson had not had head coaching experience.
Or Liam Cohen.
That's the other one as well. McDonald's knock would be that you had 10 wins last year, or at least 10 wins last year and 10 wins this year at minimum. So I don't know. But right now, I'd favor Vrabel.
Yeah, I'd go with my votes with him too. But I think and again, it pains me as Kyle Shanahan, especially and you look at San Francisco's. I mean, they play the Patriots the Colts this week, and I think I'm picking 49ers.
Yes, same.
Then the Bears come to San Francisco week 17.
That could be a Coach of the Year eliminator game.
And then the final game of the year is 49ers at home against Seattle. I mean, there is a realistic chance 49ers could finish this thing 13-4 with arguably your two best defensive players not playing pretty much the whole season.
Jeez.
I think that's what's going to also help Robert Saleh probably get another head coaching job
Probably.
too.
Well, and if he can get in a much more competent organization.
Yeah. Or, maybe if Jeff Hafley gets fired, he can go team up with his buddy and just go play defensive coordinator for Green Bay. That'd be nice.
We're already in that zone right now.
I wish.
Gosh.
But
you take Saleh or Hafley. Who do you take? You just gave the look here, but something.
Yeah, I'd probably go for my coordinator or coach.
Coordinator.
Probably go Saleh. Just more experience.
Okay.
Tua is benched.
Breaking news.
Yep. Tua is benched. Not for their backup quarterback, Zach Wilson. Rookie Quinn Ewers.
Quinn Ewers time. Here we go.
Yep. So Quinn Ewers, I think that's the move to make.
Yeah.
Why not see what the rookie has? Right?
Yeah.
Why not see what Quinn Ewers, I mean, he was like one of those dudes before he was even in college. Was like the first picture of NIL, right? He was going to go to Ohio State.
Arch Manning without the Manning.
Yeah.
Part.
Like went different high schools to cash in on stuff. Goes to Texas then. Probably doesn't have the great, the bar was incredibly high for him. I think maybe a little surprised that he was not an early pick.
Right.
Why not see what you got with him? You kind of maybe already know what you have with Zach Wilson. Right? I mean, you kind of already know that.
You do.
See what you got with Quinn Ewers. Why not? You're essentially out of the playoff race now, so.
It's probably not the solution for the future. Mike McDaniel. Gosh, there's so many names. He's probably safe.
Yep.
If anyone's not paying super close attention, you might think, no, he's not. He probably actually is based on the entire picture here. Tua Tagovailoa is probably not safe as a starting quarterback going forward. I know with the contract.
Yeah, Schefter just put up the numbers for that contract too, by the way. I don't know how they're – so, as he says, the numbers game. Tua already has $54 million guaranteed to him in 2026. On March 15th, $3 million of his 2027 salary becomes guaranteed. Cutting him would leave $99 million in dead money. Post-June 1st cut would equal $67.4 million in dead money in 2026, $31.8 million in 2027.
Andrew Brandt currently polishing off another opening, another cubby hole in the Business of Sports Hall of Fame for Tua Tagovailoa's head mold to put in there.
So let me throw this out to you. Your team might need a veteran quarterback next year.
Correct.
There's potentially 3 former first-round picks at quarterback that could be available, younger-ish. Let's say Tua is. Let's say Kyler Murray is. Let's say Anthony Richardson is. Your Minnesota Vikings. We'll take a break so you give you a little bit to ponder this, okay? A little bit of ponder. Think about which one, if you had to bring on one for maybe, or like the Sam Darnold reclamation type of project.
Right.
Yeah,
with a quarterback whisperer,
right.
Kevin O'Connell. Yeah,
which one of those 3? Okay. So think about it for a little bit. All right, we'll take a quick break because that's not the only Dolphins move that has been made.
Ooh.
Another fairly big one. We'll tell you what that is coming up next. So the Dolphins also released, I don't know if Packers fans would want this to happen. He hasn't really done anything yet this year. Matthew Judon, pass rusher. Matthew Judon. So I looked up the numbers. He's got 9 tackles and no sacks this year. He is not the same Matthew from his Patriots days. So, but maybe with depth. I don't know. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how that kind of.
It's a little lacking right now.
Yep. So all right. You got to pick one. You can't say pass.
Tua,
Kyler Murray,
or Anthony Richardson. I think Kyler Murray. Okay, the cases against the other two. Anthony Richardson,
Kevin O'Connell likes him.
He does. Well, and now maybe he can get coached the right way. Not that Shane Steichen couldn't coach Anthony Richardson. I mean, that would be, I suppose we would have said, the ultimate test of Kevin O'Connell's ability to turn any quarterback into a great quarterback is Sam Darnold.
Mm-hmm.
And that worked out quite well, evidently. So maybe that's the case with Anthony Richardson, and we unlock the potential there. I guess the problem for the Vikings in that instance, if let's say that McCarthy got injured or McCarthy regresses, last couple games, it's looking better. But
Just stop doing the gritty in front of your coach.
Also that, there's part of me that's like, really, we're all going to do the whole, but I wanted to do it anyway. Dude, you're still essentially a rookie.
Yeah.
Stop.
I will say this. Tip of the cap to Kevin O'Connell for his response to that. And I love the one line where he said, I'd rather have seen that 40 time that he always brags about. I'm like, ooh.
That was O'Connell's not going to, he is one of the more genial coaches you're going to hear out there.
I was like, burn. That was awesome. I'm like, okay.
Yep.
Respect card.
And I think they do get along, but that I think would be.
He's still young. He's still a kid, really.
He really is. It's a teachable moment, shall we say?
Mm-hmm.
So I think there is teaching that can happen on Richardson. The concern is that he doesn't have it. His accuracy and his decision making is going to stay poor. And then do you have to do what is probably happening right now with the Vikings offense? O'Connell's not probably doing what he wants to do. He's doing what's best for McCarthy, which ultimately means you're seeing not a lot of Justin Jefferson involved. Jefferson is enough pro, is enough veteran. He gets it. That's why he's not. He was plenty frustrated after that Seahawks game. I get that. But right now it's a matter of what can we make best for McCarthy? Okay, we're going to throw to a lot of tight ends.
Yep.
Do a lot of those. But if that gets the rhythm going, everything will adapt eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to do that all over again with Richardson? Probably not. In Tua Tagovailoa's case, one more concussion and, it's who's your next one?
Right.
I'm sorry, that keeps coming back to me. And he may be just trending down ultimately, though I do see some shades of like a Darnold situation there, or maybe a Daniel Jones, where maybe he needs the right coach. And as much as Mike McDaniel seems to be a pretty solid players coach, though lately the comments, et cetera, is he losing the locker room? Maybe that's not happening, but maybe it's not working with Tua. But how amenable would Tua Tagovailoa be for Kevin O'Connell to say, no, try this? I don't know. So go to Kyler Murray. He's been competent at times. He brings a different dynamic of being this shorter running quarterback. Again, that might mean changing the offense, but I think he can connect with all aspects of that offense. Hawkinson, Addison, Naylor, obviously Jefferson. Maybe you don't see as much in the running game, but Aaron Jones is not a long-term factor, of course. Jordan Mason is a longer-term factor, but that then, of course, Ham every so often. But that's going to be there regardless.
So I got two things I want to point out on this thing.
Yeah.
As Andrew Brandt just noted here, too. Remember, same agents, and they got their new deals like days within each other. Jordan Love and Tua. Which one has worked out? Obviously, it's been Jordan Love, right?
So
I'll throw that out there to still the haters of Jordan Love out there. That just mind boggles me. Remember the old tank for Tua?
Yep.
That was fun when it lasted.
Yep.
I'm going to throw a wild card into this thing. because I just thought of this. Do the Chiefs look at one of these if Patrick Mahomes misses a first portion of a season?
Ooh. Who
You know what
makes most sense with Andy Reid's coaching style?
And if you're one of those players and you look at that and be like, I have a chance, I want to play, I want to be a starter full time, but you have a chance to maybe kind of reset with Andy Reid and probably maybe play for, we don't know, but maybe play a handful of games at the beginning for a team that still wants to compete. That Chiefs situation's kind of interesting.
Could make for some good trade bait too, potentially.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would think let's go with the 9 to 10 month timeline, like you were just saying. So we're looking probably early October. I know I was paying more attention to Parsons, obviously for local reasons.
Because Patrick Mahomes had was it the LCL too? So he had a little bit more. So that's why they're kind of saying it might be a little bit longer.
Could be maybe getting to later October, early November. So maybe that gets past the trade deadline. But let's say one of those guys comes in, shines. Mahomes comes in like a week and a half before the trade deadline.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Chiefs can do a turnaround. It kind of sounds like a baseball sort of situation. You got a guy that really does well, and then you can make a big trade out of that. So who would be best? Like in terms of wow plays, I immediately go to Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
But that's probably not the best example necessarily. They're the two most whoa, you did what? But Murray's a different quarterback ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
Again,
I don't see Anthony Richardson.
No. I think Tua Tagovailoa might be the best option there.
That's what I was wondering.
Maybe. He might fit that offense just right. Of course, the concern there, again, you get one concussion, and now we're back to Gardner Minshew or...
Well, I'll throw this out there, too, because it is constantly talked about with his team and him, maybe, weather.
Mm-hmm.
I mean...
Tua doesn't do well in cold weather.
Yeah.
Obviously. It's not... See, now that would be a knock on Tua going to the Vikings. At home, no, not a factor. We don't know what next year's schedule is going to be, and what if there are key games, again, presuming a McCarthy injury or a McCarthy regression, and you got to go outdoors to Lambeau, you got to go outdoors to Soldier Field in December. Let's say that's how the schedule works out. Oh, great.
Mm-hmm.
Now, maybe that's a Dolphins thing. We've known that they're not good with that. Maybe take Tua out of the Miami organization and maybe put them in an organization that does work with cold weather situations. Even a dome team like Minnesota, they deal with cold weather situations.
So just to throw it out there, because we do know the opponents for next year. Mm-hmm. So I looked up for your Vikings. Okay. The North plays the AFC East.
So Buffalo.
But you're at home against Buffalo.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
And Miami's home. You have to go to the Jets and the Patriots.
Both could be inclement weather games, but depends. I don't know. They might both be late game ones or late season ones, but one probably will be later ones. So literally just one. Mm-hmm. What are the other road?
So the other ones would be, I think they said Tampa and the Saints would be the road ones. So,
well, I mean,
because I close it,
and then the rest is going to be determined on
the NFC West, wherever you finish. Which right now might be last, which would be Arizona.
But another potential reunion game. All in all, though, you were not seeing like Cleveland. I'm trying to think of some outdoor. Of course, they won't be outdoors for that long, but for next season they will. There's not that many. Buffalo would be an obvious one. Even in the new stadium, of course, it's still outdoors.
But again, Buffalo's in Minnesota.
It's at home, so that doesn't matter.
And the thing is, I mean, the one advantage is Tua is familiar with those already, I guess.
He's played there, yeah. It's not foreign.
Of those three, really quick, who do you think has the best shot to get another chance at starting and maybe resurrecting their career?
Kyler Murray feels like we're giving up on him too fast.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't know with Anthony Richardson. That may be a bust. Maybe. I could be way wrong on that.
Mm-hmm.
Tua feels like he's entering backup zone. Kyler Murray feels like he's going to be a starting quarterback and might actually succeed. Maybe it's because of the size, and that's why I'm always wary to comp just based on, hey, you kind of play like this guy, which I'm like, that's why we do comps. I could see a Baker Mayfield path, potentially. He might have to bounce around a couple times.
It's a good example, yeah.
And then finds, and wherever is the right fit, and I don't know what that is, but then suddenly we're doing like, oh, wow, Kyler Murray, career rejuvenation. I can't give up on him that yet.
It is a quote-unquote light year in the draft for quarterbacks, but just kind of quickly looking at some of these quarterbacks or some of these teams that may be looking for a quarterback, even if it's just a short-term solution. We'll see about Miami now. Obviously, I don't know if they would want to bring in a Kyler, Anthony Richardson, or something like that.
Maybe
We'll
the
see.
carousel continues right there.
Jets.
Yes.
I'm just going to say it because I don't even think they know at this point. Cleveland. we don't know.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh potentially, if Aaron calls it a career. Colts. Daniel Jones recovering. He's still going to be a free agent, but Raiders.
Yes.
We mentioned Kansas City as a possibility. Arizona. Saints.
Yeah.
I feel like they're waiting for that number one young guy to build up with Kellen Moore, though.
Yeah.
That's the Atlanta, I think, is
going there in the draft or something like that.
Yeah. Atlanta, I mean, they got Michael Penix. I think they're going to.
As shaky as that is, are they going to do another one this fast? I know some teams will do that. See Arizona, but that's a lot.
I don't know if I'd put Minnesota up there yet.
They were trending that way, and this is the perils of evaluating based on 2 games. So now we're going to evaluate based on another 2 games. Feels like that's pulling away.
Yeah. I don't think there's anybody in FC East. It's Dallas with Dak. Giants are good with Jackson Dart, even though he's
too early to say.
And then he's his style of play and such. Philly and Washington.
Hey, isn't Jalen Hurts really not that good? I mean, I know last week he was great, but come on here. Trying to recreate WIP.
Yeah, but that's going to be interesting with some of it, especially I would say the Colts and Chiefs, where they got their guy, but they're not going to be playing right away next year.
How greedy can they be, too? And I don't mean that in a knock. Like, they want a good quarterback, but can they pull that off with all these other needs where you can be a quarterback for a whole year? If you go to Kansas City, you're gonna go into a competent organization that, like you said, they still want to compete. Their window's not slammed shut at all.
Well, and I think the Colts want to compete. They gave up 2 first-rounders for Sauce Gardner.
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor's not getting any younger and less wear. So
and Gardner's not been wowing. So they got to do. They might be in more of a hey, we'll give you everything mode. The Chiefs, knowing the way they operate, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually sit out a lot of this and go, okay, look, I know this year, even with Mahomes, who underlying metrics are pretty good, but their records weren't showing it, and ultimately you have to win the games. But I could see the Chiefs ultimately deciding, let's find like a Minshew plus. Minshew this season is, we'll see more, but find a Minshew plus. Get through this time, rejigger the offense, do a different approach, because
or a Sam Darnold for your Minnesota.
Something
Daniel Jones sort of thing.
Right, something like that. Get to like week 7 or so. Try to be like 4-3 or something, and figure Mahomes comes back in. You fixed what's been problematic with this year's offense, and then they can go on a run and get back in the playoffs. I think that's a realistic scenario, and they're not going to tie themselves down with someone who expects to start the entire year.
All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll be back here for a couple minutes. We'll make a couple picks and then wrap things up. All right, let's wrap it up with a couple picks. We do have a couple of NBA games in action tonight. Cleveland visiting the Bulls of Chicago. Who are you going to roll with?
I'll go with the land.
I'll go Cleveland as well. Memphis at your Minnesota Timberwolves.
I'll go T-Wolves.
I'll go Timberwolves too. So let me bring up some NHL games. I was just trying to load this up here quick. Okay, so hockey-wise, Kings taking on the Panthers.
I'll go Kings.
I'll go Florida. Utah, Detroit.
Detroit.
Detroit's probably going to go, but I got to go Utah just because that's, I have to.
Third favorite team.
Third favorite, yeah. My fourth favorite team I see Nick Saban invested in.
Oh.
The Nashville Predators. So
The fighting Carrie Underwoods.
Yep. Originally number 1, dropping down to number 4, though. So
Dan Kasper's NHL favorite power rankings.
Yep. Winnipeg taking on St. Louis.
I'll go with the Jets.
I'll go Jets, too. Carolina taking on those Nashville Sabins.
Ah, yes, here we go. I'll go Carolina.
Carolina. New Jersey taking on Vegas.
I'll go Golden Knights.
Yeah, I'm going to go Golden Knights, too. So let's do a couple of hoops games because I know we got Marquette in action tonight, too. So Marquette is going to be taking on Georgetown at Marquette. I think is under 500, rated at 500. They're actually favored by 5.5, and Georgetown is 7-3 so far this season.
Yeah, Georgetown's recovering from a not so great stretch. I'll go with still almost want to call them the Warriors. Golden Eagles. That locks in when you're a kid and you hear that name. I'm going to go Golden Eagles.
I just saw somebody else refer to them as the Warriors the other day, and I'm like, what are you talking about? But I'm used to the Golden Eagles.
It's been a long time, but if that's what you knew from back then, it's part of your brain. And it's like, I'm never going to call the LA Chargers they're the San Diego Chargers. They always will be.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. By the way, really cool here, too, since we're talking about college hoops, and I only got a minute left. So this Sunday, thanks to our good friends at Hy-Vee, it looks like, free admission for every fan to the Blue Gold men's basketball game. Nice. Sunday, 3 p.m. You're talking about the top 25 ranked undefeated Blue Gold men's basketball team. So
nice.
Yeah, game this Sunday, 3 o'clock. Packers don't play. You got nothing going on at 3 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. Head on over to the Sonotech.
Do it.
And watch a top 25 team in action.
That's very nice.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. So, all right. That's going to do it. Shot clock's going to come up here in about 20 seconds. So have a good rest of the day, everybody. I won't see you next week, so have a very Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Yep. Favorite Christmas song of all time, really quick. You being the music guy.
Wham.
What?
Last Christmas Wham.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yep. Just if it's 80s, I'd say Wonderful Christmas Time ranks.
Is that why it plays all the time in the building?
In part, yeah.
Yeah.
All my favorites, folks.
Have a good rest of your day. Same place, same time tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. We'll see you then.